And I'm here back at home for the first time since late December. No, since early December. You know how I am with time. If this is your first time here, sorry, I'm putting something away. It's probably going to fall later. Hold on. I have this lovely bookshelf behind me. I might as well use it. If this is your first time here, my name is Roshida Dowe, and I am a career break coach who lives in Mexico City and just spent 1 month in Dakar, Senegal. So we're going to talk about that today. I posted in my YouTube community that I really didn't know what I want to talk about today. I didn't really know what I felt like talking today. I'm kind of stuffy. I don't know why. I don't think I'm sick. It might be the air. And so I was kind of feeling blah, blah. And so I needed some motivation, and people had a lot of questions about my trip. So good morning, Francis. I see you in the comments. People had questions about my trip, so I wanted to answer any questions that came up. Good morning, Dara. So if you have questions about spending a month in Senegal, hey, Marissa, let me know. Let me know what your questions are, and I will talk to you. Hey, Eleanor. Good morning. But while we're doing that, locating cozy, Adelia, hey, y'all. This is my first time. It feels weird to be in my broadcast studio. Feels weird because I haven't been here in a while. Last December 2021, I took the entire month off and didn't do any YouTube. If you're a YouTuber, don't do that. Helpful little hint to you. If you want to have a YouTube channel, is do not take a whole month off because YouTube don't play that. So even though I was on vacation for a month, I still went live. And I did feel motivated to make some videos. So I released one this week about how to address your career break in an interview. It's on this channel. And I started another channel called Roshida Dowe. And I have some money stuff up there, making money, handling money, money tips, all over there. Roshida Dowe, Dough. Hey, locating cozy, pent up wanderlust. Hey, good morning. Good morning, Amita, Arnell, the luxury vagabond, Clodo, Yapa Judah. Good morning. Okay, so if you watched Stephanie's live stream yesterday, Bethany Berry, as we like to say. If you watched Bethany Berry yesterday, it was all about planning your travel for the year, like really talking about what people had planned. And she talked about how she had travel planned all the way through May and the different types of travel she had planned. And I was like, I don't be doing all that. I was sitting there like, I don't be doing all that. And then I realized I have actually done that. I think I have my travel planned through May, maybe past that. At least the beginning of May. And I think I'm going to change the beginning of May plans. I planned on, there's a hotel I really want to stay in Puebla. Now, if you've been to Mexico for Cinco de Mayo, you should know that wherever you were, they were not celebrating or doing anything unless it was in a tourist zone. The only place they really celebrate anything about Cinco de Mayo is in Puebla. And so I booked myself into the hotel I want to stay in for Cinco de Mayo. But because I'm going to be in Morocco immediately before that, I am thinking of extending my Morocco trip and canceling this year's Puebla Cinco de Mayo excursion. That's my plan right now. But yeah, so that was May 5th. So I had planned through May 5th, and then starting in June, I have summer in Europe on my calendar. I don't know what that means, but I might be trying to summer in Europe. See what that looks like. That's not why we're here. We're here to talk about past travel. So if you have questions about Senegal, drop them in the chat. I got my braids done there. They are in a ponytail. They're past my butt. So I think they're like down to my calves when they're on the ponytail. Not my calves, my thighs, my upper thigh. Speaking of travel plans, I said in my last live in Senegal that I wanted I want to spend next winter at the Christmas markets in Europe with my lover. But I don't want to plan the Christmas markets, so I need a lover who plans. Hi, friends. If you know someone who plans, send me up. Okay, thanks. Yeah, so that's my plan for this year. December in Africa is kind of nice. It is. Good morning, sunshine. I don't think I took advantage of it the way it's meant to be done, right? I think it's meant to be like party, party, party up until 6 a.m. Y'all know I'm not going to be up until 6 a.m. for anything. I might get up at 6 a.m. I'm not going to be up until 6 a.m. Someone invited me out one day and they were like, we're meeting up at 10. And I was like, no, I don't do that. Like, I'm not arriving at a place until 10 p.m. I won't be there. And so I feel like I didn't really, and I have a friend who lives in Senegal it was an online friend. We hadn't met in person until I got there. And she was like, yeah, I don't really get to take advantage of a lot of, she's there for work. I don't get to take advantage of a lot of Senegalese, like the community things, because a lot of them happen late. Like it's 2 a.m. Let's go to the next spot. And I'm like, I'm in my 40s. I'm solidly in my 40s. I haven't been going to the next spot since I was like 25. So yeah, anyway. Locating cozy, spending 2 months in the EU, Spain and Portugal starting mid-April. Yeah, I decided that this year I want to start taking advantage of the fact that with an American passport, I can be in the EU for, 180 days a year. So why not spend some time there? I still need to talk to my landlord about what the plan is for this apartment next year because I may have a home base, I may not. We'll see what happens. All right, Senegal. I came back with things. I'm starting with the gifts because they're right beside me. And by gifts, I mean gifts to myself, just so we're clear. My favorite kind of gift, gifts to myself. Yeah, that was long and dramatic. Like I like it. So I got myself a fan. Oh wait, this is too low. I'm very old. I got a hand-carved wooden bowl from the bowl maker. If you're in my YouTube community, I posted a video of a place inside the market where I got this. The maker wasn't in there, but they were making like statues out of wood. And the way the men's was banging around with all those tools and no protective gear at all, I was like, this is not my ministry. Let me get out of here before somebody loses. I know y'all not gonna lose a finger because you're used to doing this every day, but I don't want to be in here. Like, it's too much. Like, everywhere you turned, there was a man using a different tool. And I was like, I want to be out of here. Just hammering and breaking and doing stuff. I don't like it. So this wooden bowl, I like things that hold things. So this is right on the money. I paid approximately $6 for this from the maker. And then I bought, Monica Adelina was like, don't forget the baskets. If you guys have been watching my channel, she was like, the baskets. Don't forget the baskets. I got this basket. I really like it. At the same market, they had leather covered ones, and it was really hard for me not to get a leather covered one, but I already had this. So I didn't get a leather covered one. But if you know me, you know I love leather. I love animal skins. So it was very hard. Yeah, the bowl. I really like the bowl. Yeah, I needed safety glasses to be back there, but the men were wearing safety glasses. So I was like, it's best if I was wearing my regular glasses. I was like, it's best if I just leave. Like, it's a lot of hammering and chiseling and doing stuff flying everywhere. I shouldn't be back here. Thank you for the tour. Thank you. Bye-bye. But but it was good. Senegal. I'm so conflicted about what to say. My friend Angel Aviles, who you've seen here before, who was on the video with me before when we were in Costa Rica, the one we were in the hotel in Costa Rica, and we talked about our Airbnb disasters. Child, I had some Airbnb disasters on this trip. But anyway, morning, mommy. She says that I don't do a good job of telling people when a place is terrible. And it's because I don't think I should. I'm never one of those people that I don't want my impression of a place to change your impression of a place, right? I don't want you to go into something expecting it to be terrible because I say it's terrible. And I'm not saying Senegal was terrible. I'm saying it wasn't for me. Long term, like a month after like, I think it was 4 weeks total, 28 days. So after like week 2, I was like, okay, so when is this over? I'm not loving it. But I have felt like that before. Like the first time I went to Dubai, I felt like that. Like I am not feeling this at all. And so I got on a flight and went somewhere else. I went to Singapore, stayed in Singapore, took a day trip. No, that was when I didn't love Japan. I didn't love Japan, so I took a day trip. I took a chunk out of my vacation and went to Singapore, stayed in Singapore, took a day trip to Malaysia, had a good time. When I was in Dubai and I didn't like it, I went to Qatar years ago. My mom's out in the streets. My mom stays in the streets. If you're in Merida and you see a woman who looks nothing like me, that's her. That's her. Yes, an empty collapsible bag to Morocco. I will be shopping in Morocco. I told myself for a year that I'm not buying clothes, shoes, bags. I think I'm going to make an exception when I travel, which doesn't really make sense because I travel a lot, but I'm not buying. I like things from other places. I didn't buy. My regret from Senegal is not buying this crocodile purse. It was gorgeous. I was negotiating with a man. I couldn't get him down below a price. And I was like, if I can't get you down below this, I'm not going to buy it. And he refused to budge. I left it there. And later on, I was like, you've left a crocodile purse because you couldn't get that man to go under, what was it? Under $16. It was beautiful. And I couldn't get him under 16. So I was like, no. 16. And the next day I was like, that was $16 for a crocodile skin bag. And you were being stubborn. You out here I'm so stubborn that I play myself sometimes. In the moment, I was like, no, absolutely not. I'm not paying that price. I'm not paying that price. And later on, I was like, the price was $16? And I pushed back that hard. As we were driving there from a place, I said to my friend, I should have got that purse. And she was like, okay. Because we were there for like 30 minutes with the guy, maybe 20, going back and forth. She was like, you should have. I was like, yeah, I should have done that. Yeah, $16. I did not love it. All right. So I don't know how long I'll be in Morocco. I see your question, MB2. Yes, genuinely, Gigi. We got something in our head. I was like, I can get you down. And he was like, no. Oh, no, he started at like 32, which is ridiculous. Now, here's the thing. Marissa asked a question in the community that I want to address right now. I think it was you, Marissa. And it was about how you feel. Okay. Would love to hear your thoughts about traveling to the continent as a member of a diaspora. I can only imagine the complex emotions it brings up. It does not bring up complex emotions for me. I went to Goree Island, saw the door of no return. It's sad, but I don't really feel a lot of things. But I will say that I talked to a lot of people who either have the expectation or explain that they had the sense of going to Africa and feeling like they're being welcomed back home. I have never felt welcome back home. I have never felt, as a member of a diaspora, I have never felt like in any country in Africa that people are like, we are so glad you're here, sister, right? Like it's never been like a welcome home fam, right? In Senegal, it felt very much like, okay, foreigner, let me get to your dollars. Let me get to your dollars. And that's why there were some places where like I just wouldn't negotiate any further, right? It wasn't like, yes, someone said I respect him for not going down any further. Yes, I get that. But the difference in price between because I was there with a tour guide who goes to the market a lot. The difference in price between what someone Senegalese would be paying and what they were charging me was so astronomical in some of the places that it was like, we can't have this conversation. Like we can't have this conversation. There's nothing to talk about, right? There's nothing for us to talk about because your starting point is just so ridiculous for what you would sell this to somebody who you didn't feel was a foreigner, right? And I'm just not doing that. And so that was part of the experience too, is feeling like someone said in Ghana is a place where they feel like welcomed home. And I haven't been to Ghana, so I don't know if that would happen to me there, but I have never traveled anywhere on the continent that felt like you're finally back, right? Like, thank you. Like there was not even a thank you, but like, welcome, right? Like you're here. It never, never. And so I'm sure that happens to other people and in other places. I'm sure it happens to some people in Senegal. I talked to one person who was like, yeah, every time I come here, didn't talk to her about whether she felt welcomed in that, like, you were always supposed to be here kind of way, or whether she just feels I've talked to people who felt pulled to the region. And I don't know, I didn't get too much into the details of that, but yeah, I don't feel like that. I hope at one point I feel like that on the continent, but I did not, never have. Don't feel like that. I think probably randomly, maybe the Seychelles was where I felt closest to that. And that could have just been because I was on a resort, right? And they had great customer service. It could have been, right? I don't know. But generally through, like in Senegal, I felt like it was a constant competition to not, it almost felt like a robbery a lot of the times. Like, what are these numbers? Like I posted a video in my community of me walking through a neighborhood of a first Airbnb I stayed in, and then I stopped to talk to a taxi to take me somewhere. The first price he offered, so I knew that what the price should be for the ride I was going. I was willing to pay him twice as much, right? I know you're going to come out your back. Like, I know you're going to offer something ridiculous. I know how much it will cost. I'm willing to do twice as much, but that's it. That man asked me for 5 times as much as it would cost a local to get there. That was the starting place, was 5 times as much. And I was like, why we got to do it like this? I'm not going to pay you that. You know I'm not going to pay you that. You know I'm not going to, like, what is, this country is full of your oppressors and your colonizers. This country is full of people whose countries colonized you. Take advantage of them. Leave me. Like, I'm not expecting the local rate, but 5 times the local rate just feels like, it doesn't feel right. Anti-blackness Africa is so big, though, I wouldn't automatically expect a homecoming. I didn't go in there expecting a homecoming. Someone asked me about going back to the diaspora and going back as a member of the diaspora. And it's reminding me that people talk about this a lot, like feeling welcome back. And I was like, I don't feel it. I feel like it does not feel any different for me than being in any other country where I don't have roots. Even I'm sorry. It doesn't feel different to me being in any other country besides like America and Canada. Remember I said I wanted to date there? On my second to last night, I met the cutest. That man was so fine. That man was so fine. This rideshare driver. I opened the door and looked at the driver and was like, oh my God, what's happening here? That man was fine. Mama, time to go watch something else. Go do something else. Be in the streets, mama. Okay. That man was so fine. I have this night and another full day in town. I was going to Goree on my last day, so I knew my next day was booked. So we're talking. I was like, oh, he's taking me wherever, taking me to where my Airbnb is. I'm going to pause for Kimberly's comment real quick. She had a great time in Senegal with friends because they were natives of the land, but when I went out without them, everything was hustle. I think it means cars, shopping, food, etc. It was insane. It was a great experience, though. Yeah. If you're not from there, they don't care who you are, right? Like it's no like, woo. Man was fine. The man was gorgeous. I'm doing a little flirty. He's doing a little flirty. Mama is still here watching. Hi, Mom. And I was like, hey, I need to get to the airport tomorrow. Like, if you took me, how much would it cost? Now, I have friends there, and I've already asked this question. How much does it cost to get to? I know how much I paid to get from the airport with a taxi driver who came especially to pick me up and take me back and waited for me for a while because it was my arrival. He waited for a while. I know how much I paid. It was, I paid him 30,000 francs or 25. I think 25,000 francs. I'm about to go look this up. Hold, please. The equivalent of like 30 something dollars. What is this? Someone from Senegal sent me a video and I don't know who it is. I won't be watching that. It doesn't matter. I think it was 25 or 30,000 francs. So like 46, 30, mid 30 to mid $40. His taxi to meet me there and pick me up. Talked to girlfriends there who were like, there's a company, just get on the website, boop, 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 boop. They'll take you there for 25,000. And then other homegirl was like, I just call any driver like I've dealt with. I just get their numbers. I message them and they'll take me there for 20,000, which is $32, I think. Okay. So like, that's the lowest number I heard. So like 20,000 francs. Okay, cool. Talking to a fine guy, whatever. He's like, yes, I can take you tomorrow. No problem. Now he's flirting. This man is flirting back. This man is like, we should hang out. This man is like, what are you doing tomorrow? What are you doing tonight? Are you going out later? Blah, 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 blah. I'm flirting. He's flirting. We're doing all this. This man in the middle of flirting with me tells me that it is impossible for me to get to the airport for under 40,000 francs, which is 60 something dollars. My girl's getting there for $30. I know I can get there for between 30 and 40. And you're telling me it's impossible to get there for under $60? He's like, yeah, no, like I have to take a different car, blah, 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 blah. My girl messages rideshare driver. She knows, and they'll take her for 20. This guy is flirting with me. He's trying to hang out and charging me twice as much. Shauna, okay, I'm not even going to say he was a scammer. I'm not even going to call him a scammer. What I'm going to say is, like, even when they're trying to get in your pants, they're also trying to get in your wallet. Even while that man was trying to get in my pants and my wallet at the same time. And I was like, one or the other. One or the other. Not both. Not both, beloved. Not both. So the next day, he messaged me. He was like, we should hang out today, because I didn't tell him I was going to Goree. He's like, we should hang out today. And I was like, oh, I'm already on my way to Goree Island, blah, blah, blah. He's like, okay, well, I'll see you later to take you to the airport. Now, he had something else going on too, because to get to my 2 a.m. flight, everyone said you need to be at the airport by 11. I didn't, but that's a different story. Everyone says be there by 11. Cool, whatever. For my 2 a.m. flight, he was like, you need to leave at 7 p.m. I was like, everybody's told me I don't need to leave before 9, even with traffic. He's like, no, you need to leave at 7. And I was like, no, I don't want to leave until 9. He's like, no, we need to go at 7. I'm like, you have something to do at 9. The only way that makes sense, because it took an hour to get from the airport. It's not going to take 4 hours to get there. Everyone I've spoken to who goes to the airport frequently is like 2 hours. You'll be fine. You need me to leave 4 hours before my flight? So you want me to work around your schedule and pay you twice as much and possibly sleep with you. Possibly. I can't. I was talking to a girlfriend and she was like, you can choose single, financially able to take care of themselves, or good looking. You might get 2 of the 3. You're not hitting all 3. She was like, in Senegal, if you're trying to date, you are not going to hit all 3. And I was like, well, this man is so fine. And trying to rip me off. So the next day when he messaged me, I was like, oh, and by the way, I found a driver to take me there for 25. And he was like, okay, I'll take you for 25. Just yesterday, you said it was impossible because of tolls and gas and want. It's impossible to take me for 25. And now that I told you I found another driver to take me for 25, you can take immediately, no discussion. I'll take you for 25. Patty said robbed and rubbed. No, I was like, no, absolutely not. Also, because we've had this interaction right now, I don't know that I can rely on you to come get me, right? I know I can rely on the service that I just typed out a little bit online and they're like, where are you? I sent them the map. I can rely on them to come get me. And right, it's a service. They pay their driver. There's the online booking service. They're paying their driver and they can still do it for 25. They have actual overhead and they can do it for 25. And you're telling me it's impossible to do for under 40? Get out of here. Get out of here. I was like, absolutely not. It's cute though. Absolutely. Woo. Yes. Okay, so I tried to date, went on Tinder. The messiest mess I have ever messed in my life. The messiest mess I have ever messed in my life. Motivation H says, who did you go with? Now, wait, I went with a company called Expat. It is built specifically for expats. So you know they're charging too much. You know they're overcharged. It is built for expats. You know they're charging too much and they still charged $25,000. And he was trying to charge you 40. Woo! Yeah, Expat was who I went with. Teresa, I asked someone and she was like, send expat. On the way there, my friend was like, I'll send my driver to come get you. And so that's how I got back. I just paid him. I know there was a legit question. Let me see if I can find it above. Okay, so I'm on Tinder. And Nubinet, I just grabbed a question. I didn't forget about that. I mentioned, I think, in another video, like 80% of them don't have real photos. It's a picture of like a cartoon or a car or a scenery or something. Okay. So, we knock those out. Because like, what am I doing with you if you don't have real photos? Like if you, what is this? So then after I started matching with people who had photos, I realized that another at least 80% of them weren't using their real name. Like they're in the app, it would be like, their name at the top, and then it would be like, hi, this is Benjamin, or not like, whatever, some local name. So the ones who I think are using their real photos, because how do I know? I've never met you in person, aren't using your real names. After a while, I was like, I can't. I can't. I can't. I cannot do this. A lot of all the women I spoke to there were like, I just expect them to be married. Just expect them to be married. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, every time I go out and I see a really good looking man, he's wearing a ring. And a woman who's been there a lot said, well, the rings don't like, because I've seen rings on both hands. And so I asked a friend, which hand is like the wedding ring? And she was like, it doesn't matter. It just, you can't rely on any of that. As information, as like clues, you can't rely on any of that. I said, okay, well, talking to another friend, and I was like, well, what is the I said, well, when I go out and I see really attractive men, they're always wearing a ring. And she's like, well, a ring doesn't really mean they're married. And I was like, well, how will, like, if a man walks up to me with a ring on and says he's not married, why would I believe, like, how do I believe him? She said, they won't lie to you about being married. They won't lie to you and tell you they're not married when they are. And then she said, well, actually, and then proceeded to tell me about a man who lied to her about being married. So like, yes, it's a very, very high shenanigan level with the whole dating thing. And some of it is that second marriages, multiple marriages are okay. And so what you may be looking for and what they may be looking for may be different. The other part of it, as I was told, is because it's a Muslim country, they're not supposed to be casually dating, right? They're supposed to be dating the woman they want to marry you. And so things like apps can be difficult because they don't want to be seen as being out there. Hold on a second. They don't want to be seen as being out there. But baby, you out here, right? Like, you out here just lying to yourself, your community, your religion. I heard there are a lot of, and I think this is true everywhere. This isn't a condemnation of the location. It's just what I brought back with me. Was a lot of people are like really attempting to be seen as good Muslims, right? And then doing whatever they want behind the scenes. And so there's that like tension between who they are and who they want to appear to be that leads to things like being on apps with no photos and different names and whatever, and being wild. I don't know. Yeah, so I did not go on a Tinder date. I was really planning on it, y'all. Really, I did not go on a date at all. Really, that was my plan. I forgot about my plan until about 2 weeks into it, and that's when I started getting on the app. So I was only had 2 weeks to go, and so like by the last 4 days, I was like, no, 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 thank you. I met a driver early on, first 4 days of being there, because I was using ride shares a lot. And this is why I keep meeting drivers. And he was all right. He asked me my phone number. I gave it to him. Sure, whatever. Once I gave him his number, did I tell you guys this story already? I don't remember. Once I gave him his number, it immediately turned to like, we should be having sex. If you don't take me where the fuck I'm trying to go and shut this dumb shit down, please and thank you. Please and thank you. What? Back on the app. I see a guy. I send the photos to a friend, and I'm like, I think this is a red flag. And she's like, it's a red flag. It's a photo of him at some site with some woman who was not of the diaspora, staring at him lovingly. And I was like, why is there a photo? It wasn't his main photo. It was like in there. And I'm like, there's a message you're trying to send, but what is it? So whatever. I was like, sure, why not? Like, I know I can be judgmental of men on dating sites. And so I was like, maybe be a little easy on this one. I don't know why he's got this woman, photo of him and this woman just looking at him. He's looking at the camera and she's just staring at him lovingly. I was like, I don't know what this is, but okay, why not? I sent my friends the messages that came. Once I matched, I sent my friends the messages. And my friend was like, he is a sex tourism. Like if there was a photo of sex tour, like based on the messages he sent, if there was a photo of sex tourism, it would be him. It would be him. It would be him. It was the same rideshare driver. I didn't realize it. And then he WhatsApped me about how I was ignoring him on Tinder. I gotta block you on both places. I hadn't blocked you in WhatsApp because I don't worry about that. Why are you? I don't like Senegal. I don't get along with Senegal. I've decided that Senegalese women aren't right for me. You got to get away from me. You got to get away from me. Yes, Monica and Alina. Ivana, y'all know Ivana from Exit Summit, was like, that is a sex, like him, that's a sex tourism. He is sex tourism. The photo of sex tourism is this man. Like, I hadn't even responded, just the messages I was getting from him. She was like, that is the sex tourism right there. Right? That man wants to be paid. He wants to be in the business of selling his body for gifts and cash, I guess. If you want to sell your body, there are all these colonizers. Once again, not interested. Thank you. Thank you. We can't do this. Do I think African-American men have the same experience, or would they receive its treatment the same? Pastor brothers are advocating for Black men to look for love in Africa. Maybe I don't be worried about men. I do not know what a man's experience is going to be, and I do not care. And it's not me being hateful. I can be hateful. That wasn't me being hateful. I just don't know if they have the same experience because I wasn't paying attention to what men were doing. I will say, no, there wasn't like a larger amount of Black women with white men than in other places. No. Mm-mm. I went to Senegal and did not like it. I kissed the United States ground at the airport in NYC. I was so happy back home. It wasn't like that. It wasn't that I didn't like it. I just found it overly challenging. Like, you don't have to be this hard. Everything doesn't have to be a negotiation. Everything doesn't have to be like everything. There were so many things where I was like, this is significantly more challenging than it needs to be. Like, it's not a big credit card place. I went to so many places. I went to places that said, we accept Visa on the door. And they were like, baby, we don't. Like, when it came time to pay, they were like, well, you should have some cash. Like at the hospital. And I was like, but I don't, because it says you accept Visa right there. And they were like, oh, we don't. I'm in the hospital. The man was like, go to the ATM and come back. And then got mad at me for not having a Senegalese phone number. Mad. I got yelled at a couple times for not having by drivers not having a Senegalese. Why don't you have a number? Why don't you have a Senegalese number? I'm on vacation. I think, okay, so there are a few things that I adjusted or should have been easier for me because I was there for a month, that I think would have been really, really challenging if you were only there for a week, right? Because it's mostly a cash-based economy. They also have like a electronic money. You can pay using these different apps. If you put money in places, you give money to somebody, and it goes into the app. This is me. This is my science explanation for the day. Welcome to Roshida's Science, Math, and Money Corner. You give money to someone. This is the money. You give money to someone, and it goes into the app, and then you use the app to pay. Which, being there for a month, it wouldn't have been a big. It might not have been a big deal for me to do, but if you're there for a week, it doesn't make sense to try to figure that out and do that. But every time I went to a place and needed change for the cash I had, they were like, we don't change. We don't change. You don't accept cards and you don't have change. You don't have Wave. You don't have orange money. You don't have Wave. You don't have and I'm like, I'm on vacation. No, I don't have. I went to the ATM and I got cash. I want to give you cash. I went to one place and they're like, come back and pay us tomorrow. We don't have change. You know, so many drivers, I got in their car, you're a rideshare driver on an app that doesn't let you put their card information in. You have to pay them in cash. It says your only option to pay is cash. So I'm trying to pay you in cash. I'm like, we don't have change. You're a rideshare. Why don't you have? And so we're driving around to all these places trying to find change, driving around, trying to find change. Why does no one, and people who have change, don't want to give it up. They don't want to give it up. Change is this precious commodity. And I'm like, it shouldn't be this hard. You take cards, right? Or like as a visitor, right? It felt very hard as a visitor. If I was paying like a tour guide to take me around, I never had to pay into the local economy. That would have been different. But paying taxis and rideshare drivers and having to do all that stuff, every single time I was like, I can't get, I've tried to get change. I can't get change. Do you have change? And they'd be like, no, we don't have change. I didn't make this a cash economy. I didn't make this app cash only. I just need us to like see eye to eye, and we're not seeing eye to eye. There was a lot that I was like, I'm not enjoying this experience. I'm not. Oh, motivation. I have no idea. I'll figure it out and tell y'all one time. But so my costs fluctuated from what I flew business class, and the flight in December to go to Africa is extra expensive. So we're not even gonna talk about that. I splurged. So we're not gonna talk about what that flight costs, because baby, it was not good. But the flight itself was good. Ballerina, I would go back under different circumstances. Mama City said they didn't have a Senegalese number either, because when I went to buy a SIM card, they tried to rob us blind. I was like, no, I'm good. I had a SIM card, but when I had a Senegalese number, when I signed up for the app, I used my US number, and I couldn't find a way to change my number within the app. And what a lot of rideshare drivers do is they sit where they are and they call you, and until you answer, they don't drive. But if you're not speaking English when you call me, and I don't speak well off of French, what are we doing when you call me? Like if you type it into the app, I can type back, but some of them are like, if they can't call you, they just cancel the ride. There's a dot telling me where I am. And if I don't answer, if I don't have a number that you can easily call, because you're not calling a US number, you only want to call a Senegalese number. If I can't call the number, you're going to cancel. Okay. I'm not going to argue with that. Okay, whatever. You show up. You have found your way to the dot to pick me up, and then you start yelling at me for not having a Senegalese number? Baby, what are you doing? Why are you talking to me like that? What's happening? I also found men, I'm not going to say more aggressive than I'm used to, but more, I don't know how to explain it. there seemed to be a lack of gentleness. Like there were a couple times where like a man got in my face or like got physically closer to me than I would like. Like I was entering a place once and a man just put his hand out in front of me to tell me that I couldn't stop, like sideways. So like he put it out in front of me like this, but like narrowly missing me. Like he pushed his hand out and like I almost walked directly into his hand. Like I feel like there were other ways to do that. There were other ways to do that than like physically stop me. And there were a couple times where like people, like men, physically tried to do something like that to stop me from doing something. Like I'm entering a restaurant. What's happening, right? And he was the guy at the door of the restaurant, physically. And I was like, we don't have to do that. I'm not comfortable with the way that like you used your body against my body. I don't like that. I don't feel comfortable with that. There were things that I did not love about this experience. I think Senegal could be a great trip for other people. It was not for me. Now, let's talk about it. When I talk to people about Senegal, I stayed in Dakar the entire time. When I talk to people in Dakar about what to do in Senegal, the answer every time was go somewhere else in the country. Go to Saint Louis, go to Saloum, go to Sali, go to all these other places. Go to all these other places. Go to what is there to do in Dakar? It was always go somewhere else. That was always the answer. Oh, this place is only like a 4-hour drive. This place is only like an hour and a half. Go there, go there. And I was like, I'm asking you what there is to do right here. I'm asking you what to do right here. And you're telling me what to do right here is to leave and go somewhere else. And because I didn't do that, I don't want to tell you this is my experience in Senegal, because I feel like there's a lot more I didn't experience. This is my experience specifically in Dakar. Specifically in Dakar, where I was like, this isn't hitting for me. I also reminded me that I love megacities. It is not a megacity. It is the capital city. It is not I like a city with like, a lot. And the answer, like I said, every time when I asked someone what to do, they were like, you went to Ngor Island, you went to Goree, or you're going, I went on the last day, so you're going to Goree. Go to the desert. I was asking someone like, what are the tours? I went on Bide, I looked at the tours, and all the tours were like, go somewhere else. And so I asked a friend who lived there, what are the tours? I was like, what are the tours you'd recommend someone doing that are like local? And she's like, well, there's the animal park where you can walk with the lions. And I was like, isn't that a couple hours outside of town? She was like, yeah. And I was like, no, I mean, not leaving from Dakar. What can you do? But what can you do in Dakar? It was always leave, go somewhere else. Okay. That's not a city for me. If like the answer of what to do is to go somewhere else, it's not a city for me. No. So y'all see my mom comment? I'm not even going to put it on the screen. I'm not going to put it on the screen. Look for my mama's comment and tell her to behave herself. Thank you. Some of y'all already saw it. All right. So I had a tour guide the last day we went to Goree, and that was much smoother than it would have been. But like a lot of times it wasn't about, I was there for 28 days, so I don't need a tour guide for 28 days. I just want to go from point A to point B. And the rideshare app would be like, your driver is 8 minutes away. And it would take the driver wouldn't even start driving for like 20 minutes. And if I cancel, am I going to get another driver who does this? So it would take I would have to plan on leaving. A ride could be 10 minutes long and I'd have to plan on leaving an hour. I'd have to call on the rideshare app an hour ahead of time. To get somewhere, it's 10 minutes away. 15 minutes away. I'd call an hour ahead of time. And sometimes I was still late. What's happening? Yeah, so Mama City says she went to Sally and it was better than Dakar. Yes. Okay. I've also heard that it's a vacation spot for specific Europeans who don't want to be around Africans. But being there for 28 days was not right. It was good for me. I did what I want to do. I learned how to surf from Black surfers. Yay. But it was a lot. All right. So I know there's some questions. I'm going to make sure I block you. Thanks, friends, for being kind in the comments. All right. NewbieNet said, how was the visa on arrival process? And don't you need a yellow fever vaccine? You do not need a yellow fever vaccine. They not asked me for a yellow fever vaccine. I've never, as far as I know, I don't have a yellow fever card. I may have been vaccinated for it years ago. I don't know. When I was a baby, but I don't know. But I don't have a yellow fever card. They didn't ask for it. And the visa on arrival process was super smooth. When I got there, they were like, okay, whatever, girl, come on in. Come on. Great. Go. So I was talked to the customs agent for the immigration agent for less time than I usually do. It was probably like a minute. No questions. Oh, they asked me where I was staying. And then when I left, the customs agent, the immigration agent asked me where I was staying, and I told him, and he was like, "You stayed in 3 different places?" I was like, "Yes." He was like, "It's only one person. You stayed in 3 different places." I was like, "Not at the same time. I stayed in 2 different places at different times, consecutively, not concurrently." And then he started flirting. Do you have a husband? I'm acting like I don't know what he's talking about. Because this is mostly some French, some English. I'm acting like I don't know. I want to leave your country. Why are we talking about my marital status? Give me your phone number. Am I going to immigration jail or am I getting out of here? Because you're not getting my phone number. You're in a position of power, right? Like you are the customs agent who I need to stamp my passport immigration agent so I can leave here. Don't ask me for my phone number. Don't do no dumb shit like that. Like no. I'm literally leaving your country right now. So you're not going to get this number. Am I going to go to my plane or am I going to go somewhere else? Absolutely. But what you want isn't going to happen. The conversation started off more prickly than I expected. And then it turned into like, well, are you married? How'd we go from like prickly to like flirty? I don't want that. I just want to leave. Thank you for playing. Yeah. But Jollof was good. It was good. Okay, here's another thing. Someone said that I heard over and over and over again that restaurants with Senegalese food are kind of meh because people don't really go out to eat. Locals don't really go out to eat Senegalese food. So the place where you really need to eat their local dishes is in someone's home. Who's inviting me over? Oh, nobody? So like, how am I supposed to eat this food? Like how am I supposed to eat this food? If the best place to eat, those are the things that I find unnecessarily complicated about a place, right? Like if I want to eat your local cuisines and everybody's telling me, you got to be in someone's house. I want to do something and everyone's telling me you got to leave town. It just feels like there's a lot, right? Like I need to go and I can't. Some women who had visited since like I talked to a woman who'd been going there since 85. Hey, shout out. This was a YouTube connection. And she said there's one place with good food, but like it was across town. One place where I can get good Senegalese food in a restaurant. Now, someone's Natia, who I'm gonna have on this channel at some point because love her. She said, she sent food her housekeeper cooked. Chebogian, I think is how it's pronounced. I was getting my hair braided when she sent it over. So coincidentally, my hair braiding location and my Airbnb were on the same rooftop. Long story. Dakar is small. And even more specifically, the English-speaking parts of Dakar are very, 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 very small. They're like unimaginably small. Anyhow, my Airbnb and my hair braiding place were on the same rooftop. So she brings in the middle of like getting my hair washed. She shows up with the food. I get it after I'm rinsed out, whatever. I get it. I have my hair's been braided. I'm starving now. So I was like, give me 1 minute. I go take it to my place and eat. It was so good. It was so good. It was so like, but that's what, like, my other friend who lives here was like, yeah, my housekeeper makes the best food. I've never had it better than my housekeeper. Basically, like getting it cooked at home by someone who works in your home is the best way to get it. Or like your family, if your family is from there and cooks it. That's challenging. Like if you're only there for a week, that's challenging, right? If you're only there for a short amount of time, it's very challenging to be invited to someone's home unless you already have that hooked up ahead of time because you know you need to. I didn't know I needed to like get an invitation to someone's home for dinner before I got there. Yeah. Some of that was where it's like, oh, it doesn't need to be this hard. But like, it is what it is, right? No, a man didn't tell me I had to have it in someone's home. It was a woman who told me that. But listen, that woman sent me that food was so good. It was so good. Nicole had the same problem in Kenya, finding local food. She found someone to cook for her. All right, so let's see. I didn't have any of the peanut butter chicken, but I heard good things from it. What haven't we talked about? What are your questions? Goree Island was beautiful. Okay, so I'm gonna help y'all out in case any of you had the same impression I did. I thought Goree Island was going to be like a monument to slavery and nothing else. Like I thought it was pretty much like Slave Castle, Door of No Return. That's all I ever heard of it. It is this beautiful place with like hotels and boarding houses and restaurants and schools and parks and everything's really beautifully painted and the colors are just gorgeous. I was like, oh, okay. It's UNESCO monument, something. Y'all know, but it's a historic something. So they can't change any of the buildings from what they used to be or like paint them different colors than they are now. But yeah, there's so much more to it than the Door of No Return, which is all I ever hear about when I hear about Goree Island. Like it's all I have heard people talk about. But now you know. People from Dakar and other places go there to vacation. Like they'll go and spend like it's like a little staycation location. It's 20 minutes on the ferry, I think. Yeah, 20 minutes on the ferry to get over. So it was good. That was one of the better days. We went there and then we went to a market. Let's see. Maybe not such as ever home restaurants to cook for people. I missed that completely. Yeah, I think I'm going to do a video about what I wish. I need to say that. I'm thinking of doing that. What I wish I knew before I went to Senegal. Because that money thing. Okay, so the reason I did not sign up I was there for a month. So I had more than enough time to figure out how to get the money. My friend was like, I can tell you how to connect it to your bank account. Now, first of all, I'm a little hesitant to connect anything to my bank account. But okay, right? We can do that. We can connect it to my bank account. Connect the app that you use, whatever. I had 2 people tell me that money ended up going to the wrong place. Something happened with their money that wasn't right. And it took them months to get it back. And for at least one of them, it involved going in person to talk to people. So if I'm only here for a month, if money leaves my account and goes somewhere it's not supposed to go, and I think there may have been user error involved, right? But if there's user error involved and the money's due back to me because it's not being collected like someone has to collect it and they can't collect it because there's a typo in a name, or something. Like say something like that. Like there's a typo in the name. I have to go to a place and it takes months. I'm only going to be here a month. Will I ever get that money back? I was like, I don't feel comfortable connecting my account to something that requires in-person attention and months to get money back. And if I was only here for a week, what would I have? Months to get my money back? No. Let's see. So Kimberly Renee says, agree about Goree. I'm surprised by how much I followed us around to purchase goods and souvenirs. I was warned that if you tell a woman, because there are women who ride the ferry over and they try to convince you to go to their shop. And that if you tell them you're going to go just to be polite and then you don't go, you could get cussed out. On Goree Island, okay, so before we got there, my friend and I already knew. She lives there. She's like, this is what I've heard. So we're like, we're not shopping. We're just going to go do some tourist stuff and get out. We're not shopping. Because a woman came out and sat next to us. And she was pretending to be interested. We told her we're not shopping. She looked over at her other hustle ladies who were sitting on a bench close to us, said something to them. Like she immediately looked at us when we said we weren't shopping, said something to them, and got up and walked away without saying another word to us. We were like, oh, okay. Once you learn that we don't want to buy anything, like it wasn't even like okay, goodbye, have a great nothing. It was like she said something to those other ladies and got up and walked away. Okay. A pregnant woman walked up on me on Goree Island, and it felt aggressive. Like even my friend, I was like, was I reading that wrong? She was like, no, that was aggressive. It almost felt like buy something or fight. And I was like, what is happening here? Like, why are you? No, I'm like, no. All right. And when I say pregnant, I mean, she's looking like it's about to walk out. It looks like the baby's about to stick its little hole, swim out. Baby's about to swim out. She was the way she walked and like her tone of voice and the way she like physically positioned herself, some of that may be cultural, right? Some of that may be I'm not used to the way people in that country communicate with each other. But this was the first time the experience that someone did it. And I was like, I think you're taking liberties because you're pregnant, right? And no one's gonna push back on this. I think that's what's happening. Because she was with some other people too, and they didn't do that. It was her. Like she walked up on us and was like, pretty much like, you need to buy this right now. We were like, No, no, thank you. No. And she's like, you're not going to buy anything? No, we're not. We're not going to buy anything. It was very much like it was extra aggressive, and I don't know why. But that's what I've heard. That's what I've heard happens over there, is the expectation that, like, if you're there, you're going to buy things. But I don't want anything. Like, we're plenty of colonizers. Plenty of colonizers. They're here speaking French. You can spot them. You can spot them. Save that energy for them, not for me. Not for me. So there were quite a few different things where I was like, okay, this is like, it's fine, right? There was nothing about it, but I was like, there's nothing about it where I would say, I would tell you not to go. I'm gonna tell you not to go to Buenos Aires. It's trash, right? I'm gonna tell you not to go to Vietnam, even though you ignore me. The big cities, the small towns, I have nothing negative to say. The big cities, Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh, big trash. It's not about the people. It's about the city as a thing. I had terrible experiences. If you don't know, I got robbed. One attempted robbery in one town, one actual robbery in another town. And I've never been robbed anywhere else anywhere else in the world. Twice in that place. I'm not saying don't go. I'm saying there's work to be done if you want to. I know what it is. Living like a local is not easy there. Living like a local requires a lot more work. Than it will in other places. And that's why a month of like being in Airbnbs wasn't great. Like my second Airbnb, the one I was excited about, the one that had the dirty light switches, I posted about it on Thingy. We're in a pandemic. Why is there no soap in this place? The only soap in here is dish soap. There's no hand soap, no bath soap. Okay, I'm not expecting soap in the shower. It would be nice, but I'm not expecting it, right? But no hand soap in a pandemic? So even the cleaning lady can't wash her hands before or after she does anything in here. Okay. The switches were all kind of this brownish color, and I was like, oh, I guess they're stained over time of use. I'm wiping everything down with a Lysol wipe. For my wipes, I wipe down the plane, I wipe down the Airbnb, I'm wiping down everything. Everything I have to touch regularly, wiping it down. I wipe down the switches, the light switches, completely different color. They changed colors completely. It went from this to this. I am not bullshitting. The light switches went from this to this when I wiped them down. Just one wipe with not like a scrub, but like a wipe, like a wipe like this. Boop, boop. Just a wipe. In a pandemic, you don't have soap in here. Your light switches haven't been cleaned since 1992. I don't know. And then there were roaches. And so after the first roach I saw at night, and I was like, hi, Airbnb, there's a roach. And the Airbnb lady was like, is there only one? And I was like, I've only seen one. And I was like, but you know there are more. I was like, if you can see one, there are more. And she was like, well, with one, we really can't do anything. If there are more, you can do something. But if there's only one, you can't really. We'll talk to the host. So I messaged the host in Airbnb back to back. The host was like, okay, I'll send someone over and he'll spray. He sprays with like Raid and finds the roach I saw. Huge. It's not a big. Do I have a dollar bill anywhere? I'm gonna show y'all this roach. The roach was the size of half of this dollar bill, the length of half of the dollar bill. So it's the length of a roach. It was a very, very large roach. Right. Okay. So I was like, he found the roach. It's nighttime. It's dark. I've approached Airbnb and they're like, oh, we have another Airbnb you can stay in. How do you like this option? The option they send me to go to a different Airbnb is managed by the same host. You think I want to check out of one of his places and check into another one of his places? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The next morning I get up, I go walk to the bathroom, there's a roach on his back, legs up in the air. The way I started packing, I messaged my host and I was like, well, I'm done. Well, goodbye. Thank you. This was fun. I'll be checking into a hotel now. So I found a hotel, packed up my things, zipped everything up, shook everything out. Paranoid, right? Shook everything out, packed everything up, found a hotel real quick, booked it for 2 days, and then told my host, like, I'm leaving. And he was like, well, what about this other part? I have this other Airbnb. Some American women were in it, and they liked it. And I'm like, oh, I don't know what their standards are. They might be okay living with roaches. Because I will say this. Every time I told someone in the car about this Airbnb, their response was, it's Dakar. It's Dakar. And I'm like, do you live with, like, are you living with roaches? Because if you're not living with roaches, even if there are roaches in the city, I'm not living with roaches. It's Dakar. We got to live with roaches because it's Dakar. Like, we have to live with roaches because it's Dakar? Like, tell me, at your home, do you live with roaches? Because if you don't, I don't see why I should. Not when I'm paying this ridiculous rate, because here's the thing, nothing's cheap. The only thing I found inexpensive compared to the prices I'm used to paying was hair. Getting mini twists done and getting my hair braided was less expensive than what I'm used to. Everything else was an equivalent price. Everything. It's not even an inexpensive city. It's not it. I met an American doctor, who was like, this place is expensive. I was like, yes. We were both like, yes. And everyone was like, yeah, Dakar is expensive. Dakar is an expensive city. I'm paying too much for this Airbnb to live with roaches. Absolutely not. So I went to the hotel. Hotel was fine. I ended up in 3 different rooms in the hotel. Long story. But that's one of the reasons that it's hard to kind of share what my expenses are, because my trip shouldn't be like your trip. You hopefully won't get roaches in the middle of it and have to move to a hotel for 12 days. I probably could have found another Airbnb in between. So I stayed for 12 days and I extended it for another 10 days in the hotel. And I probably could have found an Airbnb for those other 10 days, but I was tired, y'all. I was so tired. I was so tired. The place I picked, the place with the roaches, was where I was supposed to be when I did my surf lessons. It was a 10-minute walk. Instead, I'm doing waiting an hour to get in a car to take like a 15-minute drive to get there. So everything just got less convenient than planned because of these roaches. But I can't stay here. Like, I had to go to the store and buy a hint. pandemic and you don't have anything for us to wash our hands with. At least there was toilet paper, which my first Airbnb did not have, or a working house. It did not have anything to clean the love below. Nothing. Nothing. So some people absolutely love it. And I think that if you know what to expect, you could really love it too. Yes, Monica Adeline, I think, sums it up really well. It's not a trip of ease. It was a good experience. I'm glad I did it. I took my surfing lessons, right? I learned some things, but it was not easy. And I like ease. No, Bobby, they did not leave me any roach. The Airbnb did not leave roach spray. They took it with them when they left. So the next morning, I think the roach had been sprayed because he sprayed just where the roach was. And I was like, no, you need to spray everything. You're spraying this whole. Okay, so I'm in the living room of the Airbnb or the bathroom. I'm in some other room. I think I'm in the bathroom. It's before dark because the bathroom light didn't work at night. The bathroom where I found the second roach, the light didn't work at night. So if I'd gone in there at night when it was dark, I might have had a roach surprise underneath my feet. I don't know. Anyway, I hear a noise and I was like, that sounds like an insect. That sounds like a very large insect. I'm hearing, now we had just had the roach moment. And so I'm like, you're just paranoid. That can't be a very, very large insect. I get out of the bathroom. There's a dragonfly just banging against the walls, wings all banging against the flying around. What, beloved? You need to go. And so I had to chase it. It's in the bedroom. I got to chase it around out of the room into the living room and close the door. I have not had any windows open. I've not had any doors open. These were all insects that were there when I checked in. And then the freaks came out at night, I guess. I don't know. Because they were quiet when I moved in. Nothing was open. My house was like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. I've never, ever had a roach here before, but they must have come in from the garden. Yeah, that must be because there's a garden patio on the rooftop. They must have, they must have come in from a garden. I'm like, I've had the door closed the entire time I was here. I've never had, the first night he was like, there's never been a roach in there before. There's never been a roach in there before. And the next morning with the second roach, I was like, you got to lie to somebody else, dog. There are 2 roaches in here, but you've never seen a roach here before. But there are 2. And you can't? No, absolutely not. Motivation says dragonflies eat a ton of mosquitoes. Yes, but they need to do that outside of the room I'm sleeping in. Not in the room I'm sleeping in. That's not it. It was, the sound they make, that clickety clackety sound. What? Baby, no. I need you. The roach was the size of $50. It was the length of $50. The first roach. The second roach, I just looked at it and I was like, you know what? You're not doing nothing in this bathroom. Nothing. We're not brushing our teeth. We're not washing our face. We're not doing nothing. We're packing up our stuff, shaking it out, packing it up, booking a hotel, not even looking for Airbnb. And we're done. I said, no, absolutely not. And everybody from Dakar was like, it's Dakar. It's Dakar. I talked to another woman who was staying in an apartment. She's like, yeah, we have roaches. But then I stayed in 3 Airbnbs. 2 of them didn't have any roaches, right? And so that's my thought. Like, if every place has roaches, just put that on your, on your tourist website. Let us know, and we know what to expect. But if every place doesn't have roaches, I'm not staying in a place with roaches, right? If there are places without roaches, that's where I need to be. So it's Dakar doesn't work for me unless every single home in Dakar has roaches. No, thank you. No, thank you. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I don't. So this is not to trash Dakar. It's to say that my experience was not ideal for a number of reasons. And I'm telling you what those reasons are and saying that there's a very good chance you might have a better experience. Someone here said they stayed in a hotel and they loved it. And I think that is a good choice. I found Dakar lovely, but I was only there for a week and I stayed in a hotel. Yes. I think if you stay for a week and you stay in a hotel, who especially has like driver, a hard part was there are no addresses. So I would ask a taxi driver to take me somewhere and they'd be like, I don't know where that is. Which is why I kept using the ride sharing app. They'd be like, I don't know. And I'm like, there's one main street that goes through town and it's on the main street. You could just drive and I can tell you where. I don't know where it is. I'm like, it's right here. Like, I'm showing you, it's right here. It's right. I'm showing you the map. It's right here on the main road. It's right. I don't know where it is. That's why I was like ride sharing apps, because these drivers, no, it's a no for me. But so going back home was difficult sometimes, right? A lot of times the driver would miss a turn. But if you were at a major hotel, it got easier, right? Because like a lot of people stay at the Radisson Blu. Everyone knows where that is. It's not inexpensive, but everyone knows where it is, right? And so you have no problem getting there in a taxi. If you're going out somewhere else, that could be a problem, but I was leaving my hotel once, and my hotel was out in the cut a little bit. It was a good location, but it was like off a main street. So my security guard went to go get a taxi driver. And the taxi driver came and I told him where I was going. And he asked for some ridiculous number. And I was like, no, that's not it. And I'm negotiating him down. And every single man on the street, there are 3 men there. And they're all like, no, you can't go lower. It's impossible. You cannot get lower than that. No. And I talked to my, when I got dropped off, and I was like, I can't argue with all 3 of them, right? Like, whatever. I go to the nail place where I was getting my nail, going to a nail salon. And she was like, you paid 3 times as much as you should have. And I was like, I know I'm getting ripped off, but it's this kind of like collective getting ripped off. I paid another driver probably 3 times of what two times what a ride should have been. We didn't negotiate a price before I got in the car. And I was like, I'm gonna try this and see what happens. Because in some places, like if I say imply, just get in the car and pay what you're gonna pay and get out and don't have my conversation. I got my money in my hand. I'm paying him twice as much as I know a local would pay. I know this because I know how far I'm going. I know there's no traffic. I know I'm good, right? And in the car, he starts screaming at me that I need to pay him 4 times as much as a local would pay. This man is screaming at me. And he gets other men involved to try to physically stop me and get me to pay more. Are we fighting? Because the only way you're about to get more money from me is if you rob me. You're going to have to physically reach into my purse and take the money. I've paid you twice. I've paid you twice the going rate and you want 4 times. No. Mm-mm. No. Right? Like, we didn't negotiate, which means you didn't set a price. You didn't set a price when I got in the car. I didn't ask for a price. Is it on me? Yes. Is it on you? Yes. How much money are you getting? What I want to give you. Twice the price the local would pay. I'm willing to do that. 4 times? No. Not in this life. But like, that's where I'm saying we're like, no, the driver screamed. He got other men to try to physically stop me, like get in my way, and like, you need to go back and pay him more. Like, stop getting in my way and saying you need to go back and pay him more money. He needs more money. You need to go back and pay him more money. And I was like, I won't be doing that. I won't be doing that. So if you're gonna scream, if you don't get out this car, get out the car, right? If you don't get out this car, get out the car. Otherwise, drive off with twice the money a local would have paid you. 4 times ain't gonna happen, dog. It's just not. It's just not gonna happen. Yeah, and Lucy's about scaring me to pay more. No, you're not gonna scare me to pay more. These random men, and these random men on the side of the street were that quick. The man who tried to physically stop me and tell me I needed to go back, this wasn't a man he knew. This was a rando on the side of the street who immediately jumped in to take the security guard side against me and physically got in my way because, I'm sorry, to take the taxi driver side because the taxi driver said I needed to pay more. So this rando jumped the F in. I'm tired. And I'm not scared of anybody. It's my special skill. Humans don't scare me. So what are we doing? I walk right past them like, no, I'm not paying anymore. End of discussion. There was like I was going to a place. There's someone outside, like setting up equipment. And he stared at me like, okay, girl. And I was like, what? Are you jumping in too? Because otherwise, I'm going where I'm going. I talked to my I was leaving the nail shop and I asked her how much it should cost. And she told me I paid twice that much. And Nubina said, you might have to activate your Oakland. I don't even have to, I'm not activating nothing. I'm just telling you, go with God. Go with God or hit me. Like, otherwise, what are we doing? There's absolutely no way I'm putting my hand back in my wallet. I'm not going back in my purse. I'm not. You're not getting me to pay 4 times what a local person would pay. For why? Because you think you can. And the fact that the stranger man immediately was like jumping in and trying to get me to, without knowing, right? All he knows is the driver is yelling at me. So he gonna block my way? No. No. But that's what I mean, where I'm just like, things, there was no ease. I did not feel a life of, I could not see myself having a life of ease there. Right? I'm paying you twice as much as the locals pay. Are you gonna scream at me to pay you 4 times as much? And try to, the man jumped in. This random man on the corner jumped in. I need to pay him more. You need to give him more money. You need to get on my face. I'm not even gonna cuss. Like, I'm not even getting upset. I'm just walking away. I'm just walking away. If you want to escalate it, you can escalate it. But I'm done. This is, for me, the taxi driver took off. Once he realized I wasn't going to pay him anymore, he took off. It's just like the driver of a car who was like, it's 40,000 take you to the airport. Until I said I found someone to do it for 25. He was like, okay, 25. Right? Like, the numbers start at such a ridiculous price that, like, it does not feel easy to me. So yeah, I went there to serve, not cuss out randos. And you're not gonna get me to cuss you out. You're not. I'm here. I'm at my location to have a good time. So I'm going to have a good time. Unless you want to fight. And then whatever happens, happens. But like, you actually have to get my purse away from me and take my money. Anything short of that, you're not getting more money from me. It makes no sense. Anyway, that was my experience. I want to say I loved it. I didn't love it. It wasn't what I usually like in a trip. I like things to feel easy. And I think if I'm going to go with what someone said before. I think if you're in a hotel for a week, you're leaving town, or doing excursions, it could feel very easy, right? There for a month and living like a local without some of the things that help locals close, like the gaps, right? The gaps of like having an electronic payment app so you don't have to have cash and find change. The gaps like having a Senegalese phone number, the gaps like speaking Wolof and French fluently. Those were gaps that were real. The English actually, not speaking French or Wolof was not as large of a problem as things like money. Not having change was significantly a more frequent problem than not being able to communicate with people. So, yeah. I think that if you're there on vacation, those are not gaps. Depending on how you plan it, those are not gaps you would need to fill. But would I go back and stay in an Airbnb if I wasn't like being hosted by local people? I'd go back and stay in a hotel. I'd go back and go to other parts of Senegal. But I wouldn't repeat this experience the way I did it. So yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting. Let me think of what else I haven't told you guys that you need to know. Oh, Virginia, from Northern Virginia, I already blocked them. You don't have to agree with me, but you don't get to be rude. In Roshida land. This is Roshida land. You don't get to be rude here. So yes, Les, you might still be able to type comments, but no one can see them because you've been blocked. Go with God. I bought these little shakers, and they taught me how to use them at Mom, I bought this for your little noisemakers. There's like a way to use them to make music, but I don't know how. Got these at Goree Island. It's the only thing I bought. Okay, so once again, I think Senegal is a great vacation destination if you do the most vacation type things you can do. Stay in a hotel, go on day tours, hang out at the pool, right? Do those kind of things. I think that immersing yourself halfway into local culture is challenging. I talked to someone who's been there for years, and she was like, it's a lot. Like it's always a lot. You think that like you get used to it, and then it becomes a lot again. There's always something where it's like, why are we doing this? Why is it like this? Lauren asked me if I would have yelled at me if I was a man. Probably not. Probably not. I think a lot of it was being a foreigner and being a woman. I can't separate my identity from my experiences. So I don't know if it would have happened. But why is this random man jumping in and getting in my face? Sir, if you don't get back to whatever it is you were doing and mind your business, because would you like to call the police? What do we do? What do we do? There were police present. Usually, I think it's like maybe they're military, maybe they're army. I don't know. But it felt like there were hardly ever any because I live in Mexico and there are a lot in Mexico, or at least in Mexico City, there are a lot. And so it was kind of like the absence was noticeable to me just because I'm used to seeing them everywhere. Yeah. So Rebloom Room, I agree. I think it's still a place to visit with a tour guide. A month was too long or too short. I have a friend who, not Jakaya, who I interviewed there, but someone else who married into a Senegalese family and lives there now. And she was like, it's not bad. It's not bad. But she doesn't feel at home there. She feels at home in Ghana. She doesn't feel at home in Senegal. Okay, so I saw a couple questions about whether they treated colonizers the way I was treated. I will say this, that I was with that friend and we were at a restaurant. We were at like a casual hangout place where you could order food. And we sat down and nobody came over. And then some white people sat down and people came over and gave them menus. And so they had so we're like, okay, so we can get a menu. We just have to do more to get it, I guess. So I ask, another table finishes with their menu. And so we're like, hey, can we get their menu when they're done? I know you have more, but like while you're walking past us, while you grab their menu from this third table, you're grabbing it and you're walking, they're white as well. You're grabbing it and you're walking past us while we have no menus and we haven't ordered. Can we get that menu, right? Like, sure. They have they had two menus because there were two people at my table. When we asked for the menu, they gave us one. So now, okay, fine. You gave them two menus. You have two menus in your hand. You're giving us one to share. I'm not, whatever. The table behind us is the one who got their menus before us, before we had to ask for menus. So they have their menus. They order food, whatever. The woman's walking away. And we were like, hey, can we order? She turned around and rolled her eyes at us, like looked in our face and rolled her eyes. And we were like, I just want to give you money. I just want to, I can hang out here and not order anything because there's no like pushing you to buy things, right? It's a casual space. I can hang out here and not order anything, or I can hang out here and put money in the establishment's pocket and in your pockets. But I have to ask for a menu and I have to ask to order. And you roll your eyes at me when I say I want to order, when the other people behind me, because I can hear them, they're close enough that I can hear and see them. You came over to them without prodding to ask them if they were ready to order. And then walked away. So to answer the question of, are we treated the same? Like with most tourist locations, no. Like with most places in the world, no, we're not. Anti-blackness shows its ugly head everywhere. We were like, I just want to order some food. You're not. She looked us dead in the face and rolled her eyes. And I was like, baby, I'm gonna order some food. I'm gonna eat. So you don't want to do your work. That's fine. That's fine. You don't want to work, but you're gonna have to do this work. You're going to have to. I just want to eat. I'm not asking for much. You walked over to the people behind us voluntarily, right? They didn't call you over. You walked over to them and asked them if they're ready to order. And then even though we have menus on our tables and we haven't ordered, you just gonna walk past it. Even though we were there before them. We were there before them. We sat down before them. And no one brought us menus. The minute they sat down, people brought them menus. No, she couldn't have been pissed that we weren't speaking French because the woman I was with speaks French and Wolof. And she was the one talking to them. That couldn't have been it. It's just the normal things that you see when you go to places where they're used to guests and tourists looking a certain way, and you don't fit that mold. I'm West Indian, and I'll tell you, it happens there all the time, right? Like, go to a resort in Jamaica. Yes, there was a man in the group with the people behind us, so that may have had something to do with it too. But there was a man there, and maybe they were more deferential to men. But I'm gonna order, baby. I'm gonna eat. So come through and take this order. Thank you. I don't know. I don't know if being a man a man in the group had anything to do with it, but I do know the lady looked us dead in the face and rolled her eyes. I was like, you can hate your job all you want, Shawty. You still gonna do it right now. Thank you. Like, you're a waitress in a place that serves food. And that's not to say that like you are here to serve me, but like you're helping other people and ignoring us. It's awkward. Ate at the Lighthouse restaurant. There's a lighthouse up on a mountaintop. It was meh. View was good. Went to the African Renaissance Monument with the man and the woman and the baby on the mountaintop. Walked up the stairs. The museum is supposed to open at 9 a.m. At 9:20, it still wasn't open. The sign on the door said it cost 6,500 francs to get upstairs to the hat. A man outside told me it cost 10,000. And I was like, I read the sign and it says, I didn't even say this. He said it cost 10,000, and I was like, well, there's nothing for, like, I didn't have any cash because I couldn't. I hit 5 ATMs in one day and couldn't get any money. 5 ATMs, could not get any cash. It was a Sunday. I don't know if like ATMs don't get filled on the weekend or what, but I hit 5 and could not get any money. I had money in my account. The ATMs did not have any money. So I didn't have any cash on me, so I couldn't have gone upstairs anyway, unless they took credit cards at the gate, which I'm guessing they didn't because they hardly take credit cards anywhere. But yeah, the man was. Speaking of credit cards, the man was like, "Yes, 10,000," and I was like, "This in my head. I'm not having this conversation because I'm done. Like, there's nothing to talk about." It says 6,500 on the door. You're telling me it costs 10,000? How does that? Never mind. I'm not interested in what the different how. I'm not interested. Okay, so I was at the Radisson Blu for brunch. It was nice. It was nice. Good brunch. Fun times. I didn't have enough cash. No, I paid with a credit card to get inside brunch because you had to, and we pay. It's all you can eat, so you pay in advance, whatever. And then we had mimosa, so I had to pay for my mimosa. And I didn't have enough cash, so I was like, I need to pay on a card. I'm at one of the top hotels in the city, as far as my understanding. It is a Radisson. I was like, I need to pay with a card. The man was like, our cards don't work. Our machines don't work. Now, mind you, I paid on a little, little hand machine to get inside for brunch at the door. And now that I'm inside, your machines don't work? He's like, no, our machines don't work. What you're going to have to do is take this bill and go upstairs to the lobby, 4 floors up, and pay it. Okay, I'm on my way out anyway. The lobby is on the way out. No big deal. I'll do it and I'll order a car and I'll get out of here. I get to the lobby and I pay it. And the man says, okay, now you need to take this receipt back downstairs to him. And I'm like, sorry, what? He was like, yeah, you got to take it back downstairs to him. In order to pay for my drink at the Radisson, I have to go up to the lobby, 3 or 4 flights to the lobby, wait in line at the check-in desk, pay, and then me, myself, take my own receipt back downstairs, find the waiter in this huge open brunch, and give him the receipt, and then I'm done. I was like, I'll do it, right? Because this is what you're telling me I need to do. I'm going to do it. And I'm not going to complain. But I'm going to say this isn't the ease that I'm looking for. Like, it's a hotel. It's a hotel. And this is what I got to do just to pay for something? I can pay my credit card to get into the restaurant. But when I'm in the restaurant, I can't pay my credit card. Like, our machines aren't working. You have to go upstairs. And then when I go upstairs, you would think they'd be like, okay, we'll collect the receipts and give it to the restaurant. You would think that would be it, right? Like, okay, you paid, whatever. Because I could have just taken the receipt and walked out. I could have been like, okay, I'll go upstairs and pay and walk right out. There's no checking on that, right? But I went upstairs and I paid. And now that I've paid, I have to go back downstairs and give the man the receipt and then go back upstairs and leave. I'm not entertained by this. I was like, this is it's so much. It's like there has to be a better system. If your answer to the cards instead of being like the machine's not working and we don't know what to do, they were like the machine's not working, so you need to go upstairs, which tells me this has happened before. This is not a rare occasion. This is a thing that's happened before at the Radisson. And instead of a guy upstairs being like, cool, we got your receipt, we got this done, we'll take care of this for you. He was like, no, go back downstairs. Find your waiter. Take it to your waiter. I said, okay, well, all right. It's a lot. But that's even like the smallest thing felt like that. Like, I just want to pay in a place where I was able to pay on a credit card to get inside. I want to pay on a credit card to leave. And I'm traipsing up and down floors and looking around, hunting around in this huge, it's their entire pool area. So where is my waiter in this entire pool area? I don't know. I got to go find him. I got to go track down my waiter to give him the receipt. It feels like you haven't thought through the customer journey on this one. Or you don't care. I don't know. I don't know what it was. Like, but it feels like there's something extra. Like, I don't want to stay in a hotel where when their systems don't work, the extra work is on me. Like going upstairs to pay wasn't a big deal because that's the way out. But I feel like that's where my journey should have ended. I went upstairs, I paid. I feel like they should have took the receipt and been like, boom, we'll take care of it. Not now go back downstairs. What? What? It just feels stupid. It feels stupid. Like and this, like I said, this isn't a complaint about the country. And like I said, my only experience here was in Dakar. It just felt like for me, specifically me, I like things to feel easy. And even at a hotel like the Radisson, things weren't easy. I got to be the one to find the way. I pay. He said go upstairs and pay. I thought my job was over. Now the reason I went downstairs to find the waiter is I didn't know if he would have gotten in trouble if he didn't have the receipt and proof of payment, right? And he don't need to get in trouble for me being stubborn, right? I was like, okay, whatever. I'll go find him. I don't want him to get in trouble. But because this was your solution, your immediate solution, I know this isn't the first time it's happened. And when I told the guy at the front desk what I was doing, he was like, okay. I said, the credit card machine's not working. They told me to come up here and pay. He's like, okay, boom, 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 done. Well, what's your room number? And I was like, I'm not staying here. Boom, 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 done. You would think they'd be like, okay, here's our folder for today of all the times we've had to do this. And then we'll process it. We'll do, no. No. So that was my experience. Even things like, and that's what I'm saying. Like my hotel, I don't think I'd recommend it because of the location, the one I stayed in. There were a couple times I had to ask people like, is the service bad because they don't want to serve me or because the service is just bad? And one of my friends who lives there was like, service isn't great here. It's just not great. It's just not. In my hotel, I'm sitting at the bar watching a white man eat fries and have a drink at the bar. I order food and I'm told I'm not allowed to eat at the bar. There's no eating at the bar. Now, he'd already finished his fries and left by the time this happened. But when I ordered food, there was a man sitting at the bar and eating. And when my food came, they were like, no, you can't eat at the bar. You have to go sit at this table over here. And I was like, there was just a man eating. They're like, no, your food's right here. Your food's already on the table. Go sit there. And I was like, I sat here and saw a man eat. They're like, no, you can only drink at the bar. I sat here and watched a man eat at the bar. Not yesterday. Today, right now, while I'm sitting here, there was a man eating at the bar. And now you're telling me that it is not possible to eat at the bar. Like, okay. Like, what? All right. Sure. Awesome. I'll go sit at the table and not at the bar. That was one of my first days at that hotel. And since then, I just stopped eating, going downstairs to eat. I just wouldn't eat there anymore. So yeah, stuff like that where I was like, you gotta, there's a disconnect and I don't know what it is. I don't know what's happening. But like, you're lying in my face. Or he's special, right? Tell me that like, girl just whispered to me that like, that's the owner. He does whatever he wants. So, you know what? Give me something. Instead of just being like, no, you can't eat at the bar. I'm like, I saw that man. I just saw that man eating while I was ordering food at the bar. I could order food at the bar. They didn't say anything. While I'm ordering food at the bar, I'm watching a man eat at the bar. And you telling me there's no eating at the bar when my food comes. It was just not easy. I think I would go back. I would go back under different circumstances, and I would not spend a lot of time in Dakar. I feel like I've done that. Done it. Went to the African Monument, African Renaissance Monument, went to Goree, went to some of the little islands out there. Did what I went to do, which was learn how to surf. But I don't need to go back. I think a lot of you guys could have a lovely time there. And I don't want you to think that that's not what I'm saying, right? I think a lot of you guys could have a lovely time there. Keep it to a week. Plan your excursions in advance. Plan some downtime at a lovely hotel. Have a tour guide when you're going out. That's how I do it. Because trying to be in Airbnbs and find your way around and do things and go, no. Yeah. Liliana's guy says it's just preferential treatment from colonizer. Yeah, I'm like, I need colonizer energy to like be treated better around here. Doesn't make sense to me, but whatever. Okay, Cherie Monique says roaches, aggressive people, and bad service. Pass. There was more than that. There was more than that. If you like warm weather, it was nice and warm without being too humid. It was warmer than I like it, which is what. So it has a high walking score. Some people say it's a very walkable city. For me, because it's so warm, it was like mid 80s most days. That's not and I don't really like being out in the sun. That's not a weather I like to walk in. And so for me, it wasn't very walkable, but other people find it really, especially if you like that weather, you like being in the sun. It was good. I didn't talk to Eleanor Matthews, asked if I talked to my surf instructor about my experiences. I didn't. But one of the things he said was, you have to get out of Dakar. You have to get out of Dakar. You've got to go to see like the countryside. You have to go to, like, as people said, the old capital, Saint Louis, was really beautiful. You need to go out to like really get Senegal. You need to go out of Dakar. And I didn't, because of my surf lessons were in the middle and, well, lots of reasons I didn't do it. But that's what I recommend for you. I think it could be a better experience. Questions. Did I receive a certificate of sorts for beginner level? No, I don't know what they have. Like, I'm certified. When I went scuba diving, I took scuba diving lessons. I got a certificate because they have, like, you have to be certified. You know, they have a certification program. I don't think there is one that I know of for surfing. It was just like, maybe I'll try this 10 times and hope I don't drown. I'm going to try it and hope I don't drown. And I didn't. I came back. I felt really safe. I felt really, really safe in my surfing experience. It was one of my best things there. Doing it felt kind of terrible a lot of the days. Not because of anything at the surf place, not anything my instructor could have done differently. It was really just like, that ocean is a hateful, hateful woman. She don't really like us. The ocean, no matter what y'all say, you cannot convince me the ocean likes us. The ocean was also filled with trash, unfortunately. A lot of people who go to the beach there just dump their trash on the beach's edge. And some trash comes in from, I think, from out of the country on the currents. And so oftentimes when I was waiting out, like one time I was waiting out and then like I got my leg caught on shorts. And sometimes it'd be plastic bags. Now, sometimes you go to some beaches in like in LA, I'm like, am I going to step on a needle? Like, what's going to happen? What am I going to step on? What's going to happen? I didn't feel like that. I didn't feel like I was going to encounter anything unsafe, but there was just a very, very high amount of trash compared to some other beaches I've been to, like the beaches I go to in Mexico. But the surf shop I work at was recently in the Globe, the British newspaper, about how they have a foundation that cleans up their beach area. I think I talked to my surf instructor about this. I think 4 places that are all next to each other, they all have this thing where they go out every day and they clean up the trash. They all go out. They have their staff go out and clean up the beach. So their beach area is cleaner. But then people throughout the day leave trash on the beach all day. And so we're very clear, the ocean, the low tide and high tide there, I would be there for like 2 or 3 hours, and the water would go from being like, the ocean's edge is like maybe 100 feet. I'm not good with feet, maybe like 100 feet out or more. It's far out, right? From where like the edge of the restaurants are, to like all the way up to the wall of the restaurants in like 2 hours. And so high tide, everything that's left on the beach is getting caught in the ocean. The ocean is up to the buildings. So when there's high tide, it's not a beach where you can throw trash and it might still be on the beach days later. It's a beach where if you drop trash, it's going to be in the ocean. Because the ocean is going to every piece of sand that you can see, that your eye can see, every piece of sand is going to be covered in water in a couple of hours. So, yeah. I was like, where's all the trash coming from? And he's like, people leave it. He's like, people leave it. And I think he said that he's seen trash, but he's pretty sure it comes from America. Like I don't know where it's getting dumped or how it's entering the ocean, but it's like hitting the currents and like coming out and hitting them. And I'm like, that's a long way for trash, but I guess that ocean, she was mad. Listen, I want to explain. Oh, this is me on the surfboard. What can I use? Nope. I'm trying to find something I can use. I use my fan. I'll use the things I bought to tell you what my surf lessons, that last day of my surf lessons. Okay, so this is me on the surfboard. My instructor is demanding that I paddle sideways because we're deep out. We're deep out in the water. Paddle sideways. A wave would come this side and press the surfboard up so high and far back that I'm underneath the surfboard. I've either been thrown from a surfboard or I'm underneath the surfboard because the waves are coming parallel and we're just like, I'm surfing, I'm paddling. My guy's like, go, paddle. I'm paddling and ploop. And then now I've got to get my head above water. So I've got to get from underneath the surfboard. Boom. I've got to flip while I'm in the ocean. I've got to flip my surfboard over. I've got to climb back on top and I've got to keep paddling while the next wave comes and knocks me back over again. That last day, I was like, I hate everybody. I hate everybody. This is actually terrible. When I was in it, I was so far out in the ocean that time that I couldn't stand up. For every surfing lesson besides that one, I was in a space where I could stand up. And so I felt better. That was the only day that someone asked me if you had to swim. I was like, you don't have to be a swimmer based on the lessons I took, you didn't have to be a swimmer to learn how to surf. You had to not be afraid to like get thrown under, because even in water that I could stand up in, I was frequently underwater. I was supposed to be on top of the surfboard, but I was frequently on my ass underneath the water. So if that made you uncomfortable, I wouldn't recommend it, right? But I can swim. I'm not great, especially open water swimming. No, thank you. Right? But so the places where I was standing up, I was like, all I got to do is like get my feet on the ground. It's not like there were times where I was like, I don't know which way. I'm underwater. I don't know which way is up. And I was in water. I was in water that was not so high that I couldn't stand up in, but it was still like, I'm underwater. Like I'm in like hip height water. Like, whoa, oh my God. Right. Cause You get thrown by those waves, and it truly is like, I don't know what's happening. I do not know what's going on. But I knew that, like, if I can get my composure and get my head up, my feet down, I can just stand up. It's fine. I can stand up in this water. Now the waves were so rough that, like, I'd stand up and then another wave would come and knock me back down. Even in like, I got knocked down in like knee-high water, because these, like, their waves are very, very strong. The waves, it's not just at the height, it's how strong they are. They were super, super, like, they were aggressive. And so it wasn't until the last day where the tide was really, really low. So they asked me to go out further. And I had wanted to try paddling, like a real surfer, paddling and catching a wave on my own. He kept telling, now we had to paddle to the side because where we were, there were, I think we kept getting pulled by a current or something into a spot where if I moved forward from there, if I moved forward from the spot we were in, I would have, and I made it all the way to the edge, there's a chance I would have been over rocks. And so they did a really good job of getting me out of the way of any rocks. Like, it's like, no, you have to paddle. You can't go in from here. You have to go over, right? And so but like that paddling was exhausting. And the paddling and then getting knocked over and then having to get back and paddle and keep paddling and paddle. When I get knocked over, I'm closer to the beach now. So I've got to paddle back out deeper into the ocean and parallel to the shore. I think that was a day where after like 30 minutes, I was like, thank you. This was great. I'm going to be done now. He's like, one more wave. I think I went like halfway out for one wave. And then I think I got knocked down one more time. And I was like, no more waves. He was like, one more wave. And I was like, absolutely not. Going back to the shore. And I'm dragging my surfboard behind me because you want your surfboard, when you're going out, you want your surfboard behind you so it doesn't bump you. I don't know where my surfboard, honestly, I don't know where my surfboard was at this time. All I know is that a wave came and caught my surfboard. The wave was so aggressive that the surfboard jumped, like the top of it came out of the ocean and hit me in the head. I was in calf high water. I was below my knees. The surfboard caught a wave that was so aggressive that it knocked it out of the ocean into the air and into my head. And I was like, yes, we have completed. That was my certificate. That was my certificate. We done. I was like, no, we're absolutely done. My surf instructor was like, let me just take the board from you now. I said, thank you. Thank you. I'm tired. I'm tired. There were some women who almost drowned. But my friend whose husband owns a surf shop, she told me that her husband saves people from drowning all the time. Because the water isn't that deep. It's not. But them waves were crazy. The waves were absolutely crazy. These women were sitting at their beach club, and all of a sudden I see everyone looking in one direction, and people are like, not yelling, but there's like, they're trying to get someone's attention. And I had two surf instructors while I was there. One wasn't there, but one was. And they are yelling for him. He runs out, grabs the surfboard, starts paddling, two hands on his knees on the surfboard, and like goes out. And they look like they're about to get bashed against the rocks. I am praying that these ocean, because where they were was not where we were surfing, where there were little rocks under the water. Like, not little rocks. The little rocks were like jutting out of the ground like this high. So like, yeah, my forearm, like some of the little rocks were the length of my forearm. Forearms are generally the same-ish length, the length of your forearm. They're jutting out of the ground. So they're not little rocks, and they're wide. So like the size of the basket. But where they are, there are some large like boulders, and they're craggy, and they look like if your head hits them, it's not going to be good for you. And so he's paddling out. He grabs one and gets her on the surfboard, and grabs the other one and gets her like hold on to the surfboard, and then he swims them back. He's swimming 2 women in on the surfboard. I think until a point where he could stand up and he could kind of push it more. Yeah, it was like everyone there was like, this is bad. But apparently that happens all the time because people don't realize how aggressive those waves are. One day when I was surfing, there was another guy, and with another surf school. He was with a different surf school, and he was out on the side somewhere. I don't know where, I don't know why, but someone who I don't think was with him, one of us, so it's, a bunch of Senegalese guys out there showing people what to do. One of his guys starts yelling at someone else who I think is responsible for this other guy. And he starts yelling at him to come over here. Don't be over there, come over here. And then I guess the guy doesn't hear him. So now all of these Senegalese guys in the water are like yelling at him, because you got to hear one of us yelling at him to bring his behind over from where he's trying to surf. So come on, don't be over there. And I don't know what it was. I don't know why he couldn't be over there, but everyone who was with people who were surfing was like, you are where we aren't worried about you right now. Everyone was like, we need to get him. Everyone in the water at that point, all the Senegalese men were like, that we need to get him. Whatever you're doing, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Don't drown when I turn my back on you. It was really like, y'all will all be okay. We need to get this guy over here. And I was like, this is interesting. But that was one of the things I liked. I liked that there was a lot of community. I like that there was a lot of community, and even things like that, like the guy who I said, like the first guy who didn't yell at the surfer, yelled for his instructor. Like he yelled for his responsible party, right? Instead of like, he saw that the guy was not doing what he should do, or he was not in an area he should be in. And immediately was like, your guy doesn't see you, but somebody need to come get you. So let me yell at your guy and tell him you shouldn't be there. And so there was a lot of that at the surfing place, where people would like, I don't speak French or Wolof, but what I got from the interactions was there was a lot of like, these surf instructors helping each other out with like how's the water, blah, blah, blah. There's a danger. This is what you need to know, blah, blah, like that kind of stuff, in a way that like, it didn't feel like people who were competing for the same resources. It felt like people who want to make sure everybody who goes into the ocean leaves the ocean just fine, right? And I liked that. I liked the fact that it felt like everyone felt responsible in some way for everyone there, right? Like I had a surf instructor from another camp who spoke fluent English, who was like, who would yell at me in the middle. Like I'd be on the board, right? I'm gonna wave, and he'd be like, no, you're not doing that right. He'd be like, turn your body, dude. And I'm like, baby, like, I'm just trying to stay upright, and you're yelling at me of what I need to be doing to make it better. I'm on top of the board. Let's call it a win. He'd be like, no, you need to. Every day he saw me, there was another like, okay, so this is what you need to be doing. I appreciated that he was trying to help. The instructor I had most often didn't speak a lot of English, French and Wolof. I don't speak French and Wolof. We've talked about this 1,000 times. I could understand his instructions, basic, but like fine tuning, I don't think he could have helped me fine tune because we had a language barrier. But I didn't really need to fine tune because I wasn't doing the basics to begin with, right? He'd be like, put your feet here. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I can't get my feet where you want them to be because once I get my feet on the board, you tell me not to move them. And they're not where you want them to be in the first place. So how do I don't know that I've done anything as physically hard as surfing in a long time. I was like, this is a young person. This is a young person's game. All right, Cherie Monique asked me how I got this home. I'm an expert packer. I also brought one large suitcase. I had room for another suitcase, but I didn't go shopping until my last day there. So I didn't, I only bought stuff I could fit in. I didn't want to buy a second suitcase. I only bought stuff I could fit into my main suitcase. I packed this full of clothes and put it on one side of my suitcase. The side, it has a zipper, so I zipped it over. It was a big hump. This is higher than my suitcase. I also had an expandable suitcase, and I put this on the other side. Got to the airport, and the lady was like, this is my business class flight. It was allowed 2 70-pound suitcases. And the lady was like, your luggage is 58 pounds. You need to take, well, in kilos. Your luggage is whatever kilos you need to take out 4 or whatever. And I was like, no, I'm allowed this. And she was like, no, you're not. I'm like, yes, I am. And so the longest part of my check-in process was arguing with a woman about my luggage, what my luggage allowance is. And it reminded me that I've been in that situation before and I've just taken stuff out, right? Like this time, my carry-on is stuffed to the gills. There's no more room and I'm underweight. And I know I'm under the allowed weight. And I'm like, this is what I'm allowed. And she was like, no. I was like, and I've realized that when you buy plane tickets these days, they're not telling you, like in the confirmation email, they're not telling you how much luggage you're allowed. I keep looking at them and I'm like, it doesn't say my luggage allowance when I buy the ticket. It says it before I buy the ticket. Anyway, I looked it up on the website and I was like, in the app right here, it says I'm allowed this and this. Because she was like, no, you're not. No, you're not. She talked to someone else and we're like, no, you're not. No, you're not. It has to be under 50 pounds, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you need to take stuff out. And I was like, that's no, no. And then I looked it up in the app and I showed it to her and she was like, okay. All right. It's just that randomness of like, I talked to Eve, the Disabled Diva, on this channel. And one of the things she talked about when I talked to her on this channel was about knowing what your rights are. I don't want to say your rights, knowing the rules of the road when you get to an airport counter, because you cannot expect the people you deal with to know, right? So this is during the time of COVID, and that's mostly what we were talking about. Like, you need to be responsible for knowing that if the information isn't updated, you can show them where the updated information is, right? And so I was very proud of myself in that moment. Like, I remember Eve being like, you need to be able to advocate for yourself. And so I was advocating for the stuff I bought. I'm not taking anything out. No. Also, it's 10 o'clock at night at a suitcase in an airport that doesn't have stores that I have not seen with a luggage store. So she's like, no, you're not allowed 2 70 pounds. You're allowed 3 50 pounds. Where am I going to get a suitcase in this moment? Where? Nowhere? Right? So telling me that I'm allowed 3 50 pounds instead of 2 70 pounds, like this is helpful information, isn't helpful information, because it would require me to buy a suitcase, which isn't available to me right now at the airport. So yes, so a constant reminder to always know what the rules are, how to find them, and to advocate for yourself. Because she was like, no, you gotta take it out. And I'm like, no, I'm allowed. She was like, no, you're not. I am. No, you're not. Okay. So yeah. Yeah, Cherie Monique says she prints out their baggage policy. Yeah, I was like, right here in the app, it says. So in my app, it says, because I have the Delta credit card and because of my status, this is what I should be allowed. I think also should be allowed that because of business class or whatever. I don't know. That's just what it says on mine. I know it's going to say something everywhere else. So I was like, This is what it says right here. It says, because I have the credit card and because of this, she was like, well, show me the credit card you paid for it with. And I was like, if I didn't have my credit card, I wouldn't get the luggage allowance if I didn't have it on me. The luggage allowance that I'm actually you should be able to find in the system. There should be some way of telling you how much luggage I'm allowed on the flight. If it's different for every person based on what their status is in their credit card they use. Like I have the Delta brand credit card, right? So if it's different for everybody, it should say it in the system. What is specifically for each person? I shouldn't have to fight with you when I get here. Ew. So just a reminder to advocate for yourself and know the rules. Adelia has a good question. Will your experience in Dakar and last year in Buenos Aires change future adventure seasons? I don't think so. I don't know. Buenos Aires wasn't really last year's adventure season. Last year's adventure season was Antarctica. Buenos Aires was something I had to fly through. I had to be there to get to where I was going. I don't know that it would significantly change. So my bad experience in Buenos Aires does not put a damper on my significantly great experience in Antarctica. So I don't know. My experience in Dakar wasn't for me for 28 days, right? I would go back for a week. I think that a lot of people should try it. It was just, I don't know. I'm like, people who live in Senegal seem to love it. And so I was like, maybe I'm looking for other places that feel like home. That wasn't it. It wasn't it for me. I was very open. I was very open to this being like, I love it here. It's an easy flight. You know, not an easy flight, but easy enough compared to other things. But no, it wasn't for me long term. And quite a few people I know who live there say it's not for them long term. The only person I know the only foreigner I spoke to who was like, this feels like home, does not live there all year round. And I don't know if that changes her experience. I don't know if she lived there all year round, would she have a different mindset about it? What's next for adventure season? Amber asks, I don't know. I don't know. I will say that Senegal had a very, very low infection rate for COVID. When I was there, it was about, in the whole country, about 2 people a day. In the whole country. Now, I don't know whether that is because not a lot of people get tested or that's really like a very accurate reflection of the infection rate. I don't know. But it was very rare to see anyone in a mask. I mask almost all the time in Mexico City. And then now that I've spent a month not masking because no one wears masks. And I felt safe because I looked at the infection rate and saw how low it was. I felt safe not masking. And even with the low infection rate, I would not have felt good about walking around unmasked if a large percentage of the population walked around masked. But it would be like every 4 days I'd see 2 people in a mask. Like it was very, very small amount of people that I'd see masked up. And so now that I'm back, I keep forgetting to put on masks. I keep forgetting. I was on the plane on the way back. On the way there, I wore my mask nonstop. On the way back, I woke up from my nap and I was like, am I wearing a mask? I just went to sleep without a mask on? Okay. Well, hopefully it's not a problem. But yeah, very low reported infection rates, very few people wearing masks. It felt safe in that respect. I did get sick. It was a stomach thing. I thought I might have malaria. The doctors were like, oh, it was just the heat. I think when the doctors told me it's the heat, it was their version of, girl, we don't know. It's not COVID, it's not malaria. Go with God. And so, I don't know. I wasn't really worried about getting sick there. One day I woke up at like 4 a.m. and I was like, I have to throw up. But like it didn't come. And it was supposed to be my first day of surfing lessons. And it wasn't like nerves or anything. It was very, very physical. I could feel it in my belly, like, oh no, I feel like I need to throw up. And then I went at 7 a.m. when I woke up to go surfing. I stood up, immediately threw up. And one of the symptoms of malaria is like vomiting. And I had another symptom, sore throat and vomiting was what I had going on. And I was like, I feel like I should go get, a little test. So I went to get tested. I talked about this in another life, but I went to get tested and it took all day. Now it was the day of the last soccer matchy thing, the World Cup-y thing. And so I think I was getting inconsistent service because of that. But yeah, it took like 11 hours, maybe 12 from the time I left home, the time I got back was like 11 hours, 11 and a half, I think. So it was a lot. I walked into y'all know how I feel about healthcare. The bougier, the better. I walked to a place where I could get medication. I walked to one pharmacy. It was supposed to be open and it was closed. We called doctors and no one. They were like, you can make an appointment. And I'm like, I think I have malaria, right? Like, I don't want to make an appointment for days later. I feel like it's kind of urgent. So I went to one pharmacy that was right around the corner of my hotel. They didn't have it. And so I walked 10 minutes to another pharmacy. And I was like, where can I talk to someone? Like, I wanted, I'd like to before I buy malaria drugs and just take them, which is what was suggested to me multiple times. I wanted to talk to someone and see if these symptoms sound right. And they were like right across the street. Right across the street was a public hospital. I started Googling like where's the healthcare that does not look like this? It's not. And so I went to downtown to Clinique Madeleine. This is a place where they didn't have credit card machines, even though we said, or they didn't have ones that worked, even though they accepted Visa. And the man actually yelled at me for not having a Senegalese number. Like I was like, I don't have a way to pay. If you don't accept, I've already been seen. I paid for one thing upstairs. Or I paid for my testing upstairs, but I had to go pay for my doctor's fees at the lobby before I leave. I was like, can I pay upstairs where I did the testing? Can I just pay them? Because they had a credit card machine that works. I pay them. And he's like, no, it's a separate thing. You have to pay in cash. I was like, well, I don't have cash. And he's like, okay, well, what's your address? It gave me a form to fill out all this information. And he's like, what's your Senegalese number? I'm like, I don't have a Senegalese number. I didn't know it. No idea what it was. I was like, I don't have a Senegalese number. And he was like, that's going to be a problem. Why don't you have a Senegalese number? I'm on vacation. On the door, it says you accept Visa. I'm not the one in the wrong here, right? Like you are treating me like I came here to rip you off. It says on your door, you accept Visa. I paid upstairs with a Visa. I'm trying to pay in another area with a Visa. And you're getting loud with me. So I was like, I'll go to an ATM and bring you back money. And he was like, you don't have a Senegalese number, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'll leave my passport. So I left him my passport because I figured I would be gone in too short of a time to leave. And I needed to leave something to let him know I was coming back. And I wasn't going to leave my phone. And it was going to be a short enough time, but he couldn't do anything on my passport, which has space for like one stamp. I have to, that reminds me, I need to set an appointment for a new passport because I can't travel. It's not expired, but there's literally no room in my passport. So, yeah, but like mad at me for not having a Senegalese number. Your door says you accept Visa, but you don't accept Visa. I'm willing to work with you, but now you're getting loud with me. What's happening? Oh, Kat, that's not a passport flex. That is literally, I wasn't sure I'd be allowed into Senegal. They don't do regular passport appointments in Mexico, so I do not know how I can get an emergency passport, but I don't know how I don't know how to get a regular passport besides taking the time to mail one in, which y'all know I don't have time to do. So it's not a flex. It's truly a problem. It's a problem. It's a problem because like visas take up your whole page. So I need to figure something else out because life is lifing. Hi, Aisha. When are you coming back to work? Y'all, we should ask Aisha when she's coming back to be my creative director. Hit her up in the chat. Aisha P. She thinks I forgot about her. Natalie, I'm in Mexico right now. So when you say, do you plan to stay there or maybe try another country? I live in Mexico City because I love Mexico City. But I'm always on the lookout for other places that I really love too. All right. Let's see. Let me see. What else I missed? Oh, CC asked, what airline did you fly? I flew Delta. I flew Delta from Mexico City, which is not going to be a lot of your experiences. So I flew from Mexico City to Paris. Had a little lay flat little area. Loved it. But that was an Air France. Nope. Was that an Air France? That was a Delta flight. Or was that an Air France flight? Let me tell y'all in a second so I don't lie to you. The flight from Mexico City to Paris was significantly nicer. That was the nicest flight I was on in this whole time. The flight from Paris to Senegal, it had soul plane vibes. Not because of the passengers, because of the actual equipment, because of the actual plane. Like, I was just on a really, really nice plane. Why is this not a really, really nice plane? Let me see. My trips. Let me tell you if I can figure out what airline that was. Are they not going to tell me? Recent activity. Air France from Mexico to Paris. Wonderful. They gave a whole book with their menu. Their menu was like, I'll be back. Hold on one second. I thought I could easily find it, but I haven't unpacked yet, so I can't. Their menu was a whole 8.5 by 11 thick paper, multiple pages booklet. Lovely. Stunning. On the flight from Paris to Senegal, there was a man next to me. On the flight from different size planes, different setups, on the flight from Mexico City to Paris, I was on a window by myself. On the flight from Paris, Senegal, I'm on the window still, but they've got more seats. There's a man next to me. The flight from Senegal to New York was how I got back. A lot of people take that flight. It's very, very popular. It's the 2 a.m. flight. Everyone knows the 2 a.m. flight is Delta flight from Dakar to New York to JFK. I took a photo of the flight board when I was in the lounge at maybe midnight. No, it was probably when I got there around 11, I would say I took a photo. You could see flights on the board without anything moving or scrolling. You could see every single flight they had until 3 p.m. the next day. That's how few flights get out of there, right? It's not a very busy airport. And then the flight from, that was Delta, and then it was Delta from JFK to Mexico. I don't normally fly Delta into Mexico. I normally fly their sister company, Aeromexico. But because I was going through JFK, there's a Delta flight that does that. They couldn't get my SkyMiles number, not my SkyMiles, my frequent traveler number on my TSA PreCheck number on my ticket in Senegal. For some reason, Delta couldn't get it on. So I stopped at that counter at JFK before I went to security, and I was like, "Hi, can you get this on?" And she was like, "You're stopping just for this?" I was like, "Yeah, I was like, I'm packed to the gills, and I don't want to open my luggage in security." She's like, "No, I get it." She's like, I get it." So I stopped there, got my TSA PreCheck number, put on my ticket, and then the line was, I always know a line traveling through JFK. I landed at gate B37 and I flew out of gate B38. I walked for at least 30 minutes just to get on one side of the gate and then to get back. Oh, it was a lot. It was I wish we were back in the day where you could just be like, "Oh, I'm here. My gate is there. I'm going to have a seat," right? But no, that's not where we are. That's not life. But yeah, that's what I flew. Air France on the way there, Delta on the way back. Bought the ticket through Delta. Those were the options available. Astrid, I mentioned earlier, I did not go on any dates. I want a cold reading of a line. There was a man next to me. There was a man. Yeah, I kept the menu. I keep random souvenirs, which is why I'm a maximalist. Y'all know this. It was so nice. On the way back, it was on the way back on one of the flights, the lady showed me the menu on her phone. These are our options. Look, these are our 2 options. There, I was like, this is nice. This is nice. Okay. I mean, the important questions. The important questions. Okay. Kat says, what happens if people lose their passports in Mexico? There's got to be a way. Yes, we get emergency passports. I don't know how long they're good for. I don't want an emergency passport. I want an actual living, breathing passport. But the only way in Mexico right now is to mail it to the US to get an actual passport. You can't make an appointment for a regular passport appointment. Not in Mexico City. I doubt you can anywhere. So if you live here and you need to renew your passport, you need to be in the country without a passport until it gets mailed back to you. Not ideal. Not ideal. Yeah, CC kept the menu from Qatar Airlines. A new Earth says the man next to you. What does that mean? There was a man. I want to be in a plane. When I paid for business class, I wanted to be on a plane with no one sitting next to me. I wanted there to be an aisle next to me. Instead, there was a human breathing air next to me. That's not what I want. Moving and talking and plugging things in. And it's not the experience I was looking for. Oh, man. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No. All right. So if you're going to Morocco, if you're meeting us in Morocco, I'm super excited about it. Super, super excited about what that's going to look like for us. And I am really excited about it. Working to make sure everything comes off without a hitch. There'll likely be a hitch. It's just life. It's just life, right? Like, we're working, but there's so much. I just want to give you money. Like, we're trying to negotiate with one of my hotels for a lower room rate for you guys, for people who want to stay in the same hotel we do. And they're like, they reduced the price $4 a night. But if you go online right now, we're probably not going to stay in this hotel, which is why I'm not telling you the name. This is probably not where we're going to stay, because there are other reasons that we're like, they're not working with us the way we want to work with them, right? They're not giving us anything. Like, we asked for a lower room rate to bring in a block of people, and they reduced the rate by $4 a night. Meanwhile, let me look this up. I like being factual. The room rate is, nope. The room rate is $67 cheaper for that time period on Expedia than what they're offering us. And we're like, it's cheaper for us to get it, for our people to send them to Expedia than for us to work with you. And you're going to have to pay Expedia fees. Or like, I don't know how that works, but I know there's some money involved there, right? Like, it's cheaper. Like, you're charging us a higher rate than the aggregators are. And we ask for a lower rate. You're like, we'll take off $4. It's $67 cheaper a night to get it. I just want to bring a group of people to your hotel and spend a lot of money. I like spending money. It's a hobby. I just want to spend money. I want my ladies to spend money and feel like they're being treated well. And if you won't give me the room rate I can find on Expedia right now, I don't get the sense that we're going to be treated well, right? Like, because when we were like, but the room rate's cheaper there, we're like, oh yeah, but once you sign this contract, we're going to increase the rate on the aggregators. Once we sign the contract, you're going to increase the rate over there. It's the hotel Stephanie wants. It's the hotel Stephanie wants. And it's one of my top 2 hotels. But like, I can walk in off the street and get it for $67 cheaper than we can if we're bringing a large number of women. Okay. All right. Fine. That's cool. That's cool. So Morocco is working. We hope to get a hotel to you in the next 2 weeks. If you don't book yet, Adelia sent me a text yesterday and she was like, do you know what hotel you're staying at? And I'm like, I don't. No, she said, have you booked your hotel room yet? I'm like, I listen, the day I'm not booking my hotel a day before I give y'all the link. I'm going to give y'all the link first and say, book it, right? We're going to talk about hotel. We'll work it out. You will know before I'm really booked. That's what happened in Cancun. We told y'all before we were booked. We were like, this is the hotel. We're going to be staying there. We just need to work with the people about some other stuff, blah, blah, blah. They put aside some rooms for us. It's not a big deal. Like they know we need this number of rooms. Cool. I can get the room rate at $6, $7 cheaper than Expedia. Oh, the other thing was everyone keeps recommending the Janae Tasmasna. I don't know how to say it. The hotel that's owned by the Black woman in Marrakesh. No, for a variety of reasons. One, it doesn't have enough space. It doesn't have enough rooms. Two, all the rooms are very different and come at very different price points. I was looking up rooms. I think I just looked at one night, maybe April 20th or 21st, because that's like the first night. I looked at her rooms the other day, and even though I know it's too small, because I wanted to have this conversation with you guys, and we'll probably talk about it again in the Exodus group, because I would love to support Black-owned hotels, right? Oh yeah, Cece mentioned it. It's not something. It's not going to work for us. I think it works for smaller groups. Like I said, they only have 24 rooms. It's not enough for us. So even if we booked out the whole thing, Adelia stayed there and said the customer service leaves a lot to be desired. Yeah, Eleanor says only 24 rooms. It's not big enough. Looked at the rooms, and they had one room. They showed one room for $200 and 4 rooms for the first night, 20th through 21st. 4 rooms for $400 a night. $400 a night isn't the price point we want to be at for you guys, right? And so I think if you really want to stay at that hotel, you should book it before or after the Exodus adventure, or stay there by, like, if you decide like that's where I want to stay. I've been dying to get to Marrakesh and stay there. Book it. If you know you're not going to stay at our hotel because you really want to stay there, don't wait for anything. Book it. But we will not be there as a group. It's not large enough. And the rooms are too inconsistent. And I know that some people, because of the nature of humans, we're trying to get a hotel that has rooms that are as similar to each other as possible, so that you don't walk in a room and be like, how come my room isn't like this, right? And I'm not expecting that. I just know humans. I know someone's gonna walk in a room and be like, why is your room so nice and my room does, or why does your room have a fireplace and mine doesn't? Why does your room walk out onto this and mine? We're trying to have rooms that are very, very similar. We're trying to have places where we're not, some people aren't paying $200, some people are paying $400. Because if there are 5 rooms available, only one is $200 and the rest are over $400, like that just doesn't, it's not giving what we need for this adventure. Janae said that sounds like high school, that some people wanting a nicer room. It's 100 women. Someone's going to say that. And they may not express it verbally, but someone inside is going to be like, oh, I wish this was my room. Right? So we're cutting that out because the rooms there are it's a Riad. And that's one of the reasons we're not staying in Riads. The Riads that we found were all very small, smaller than we need. And the rooms were terribly inconsistent. Where like one person would be staying in like this luxurious, and I'm not saying this about her hotel. I've never been to her hotel. I don't know. But in the Riads we saw, one person's going to be staying in like the king's suite and one person's going to be staying in like the cleaning lady's room. And I don't want that. I don't want that. Okay, Paratrooper Girl, if you want the waitlist info, it's inside the Exodus Summit Facebook group. There are a lot of people on the waitlist, so we're not guaranteeing anything. But we know some people will get refunds. Inside, there's a pinned post inside the Exodus Summit group where you can get the waitlist, because we're not sharing it publicly out here. All right. So, Cherie, we're not mass booking on an aggregator site for that hotel because there are other things that make it more challenging, right? There are like other things we need from a hotel to do for a group that they don't seem as likely to do as other hotels we've talked to. And so I don't want us all showing up at one hotel and then being like, okay, but what about this, right? So Paratrooper Girl is packed and ready to go. Baby, that wait list. Ooh, the wait list. So we've had a lot of people recommending her hotel, and we just want to let you guys know that it's not big enough. The rooms are expensive, and it's expensive in a city where you can get a lot of other beautiful. You can stay in a lot of other places that look the same that don't cost that much. And I have not. It's not a criticism. I've not stayed there. I just haven't seen what makes it worth that price point in that city. Adelia stayed there and said she wouldn't go back. I told y'all, it's gonna be somebody like, how come my mom, was it my mom who walked into my room when I was in Cancun? Like, why your room so nice and mine look like? And I was like, because I'm an HBIC, right? Like, that's why. Like, what? Why is you got? I was like, yes, I do have all this. No, and so we just don't, as much consistency as we can get, we gotta do. And the Riads, like I said, are smaller. I don't think there's anything else about Morocco that we haven't told you. A lot of it is just we don't know stuff. We don't know. If we knew, we'd tell you. We're trying to work on it. We're hoping to get hotels wrapped up soon. We're hoping to get a real schedule that we can give you so you know what to do. There are going to be a few things where you need to figure out what to do on your own, right? Like we're going to have a schedule, but there's also going to be empty time. I want you to be aware that like last time, you'll have to fill your time with something. I think that's it. While I'm here, yes, I did. Yeah, Mom walked in the room like, why you got a couch? And I was like, now, those of you that stayed with us at the JW Marriott, no, there were no maids' rooms in the hotel. But here she come. There were no maids' rooms in the hotel. Actually, I don't think I ever saw her room. Also, I got COVID. So I was, in times when I thought I was going to be hanging out with people, I was in Cancun with the air conditioning off under like 4 different blankets. Because my temperature was stupid. So, yes, people want similar rooms. Big and a nice view? Why don't I have a window? And like Cherie said, she wouldn't say it on the trip. Yes, you might not say it on the trip, but you feel it. We don't want any of that. I want everyone to be like, yes, I love it. I'm here. Let's go get some drinks in the lobby bar, right? Like, let's go do this. Oh, by the way, if you're coming, this is random, and we'll talk about all these things on another live stream for people who are going to Morocco. Every time we look at alcohol, the numbers have me like, who? So this might be the kind of place where you bring what you want to drink with you into the country, or you get it at duty free before you leave the airport, or you get it duty free when you're flying through somewhere. But ain't gonna be no open bars with us. Just FYI. Shan't be any open bars with the Exodus squad. If you want your alcohol and you need your alcohol, you're going to have to pay for your alcohol or bring your alcohol. Don't have all the details yet. All I know is every time I see the price of alcohol, I'm like, no. But per person price, I'm out here doing math like, do I need to double these ticket prices? No, we're just not buying alcohol. That's it. I'll give y'all food. Not alcohol. All right. Let's see. Patty, yeah, we should get comp rooms for bringing in a group. It was not mentioned in their proposal. It was not. They were like, you will pay more than you could get on the... You will pay more for your rooms than you could buy them online, and there's no upgrades or free rooms for you. Like, riddle me this, Batman. Why would I agree to this? Why did I? Woo! No, Sheree, I totally understand. I know you're joking. But I know that if I go in someone's room and I'm like, this is so much nicer, and I'm be like, you paid the same thing? And got the how? We're not doing it. None of that. None of that. We're not doing any of that. Okay. So what haven't we talked about? We've talked about Morocco. We talked about Senegal. Someone recently walked in, Astrid, I think, asked about dating. That's in the beginning of the video. You can go back and watch from the beginning. Did not date. I want to remind everyone again who is going to Senegal or wants to go, to Morocco or wants to go to Morocco with us. This is not a group trip. This is a meetup. We are going to tell you what hotel we're staying in and hopefully provide you a link so that you can book at a good price and be in the same hotel as us. Outside of the events that we're going to tell you about and give you a calendar for soon, I hope, you're on your own. This is a trip for people who feel like they don't need a leader, or they have found their leader or their friend or their buddy in the meetup Facebook group, and they feel good traveling with them. I will not be on call. I will not be helping with customer service. You can reach out to Aisha for that. Kidding. Aisha doesn't have anything to do with Exodus Summit. But I keep trying to get her back to work. And so, yeah, Paratrooper Girl, them tickets sold. We literally said we'll raise the price in the end, January 20th, is what we said, because we did not think it was going to be sold. We were like, we'll still be selling tickets. We'll still be selling tickets in late January, but the price will go up then because we need to give our suppliers a number, and so it'll be easier to give them a number before, like, we need a number by that date, and so that's the date prices will go up. We didn't expect it to sell out in less than 24 hours. Now, someone told me that meant that the prices were too low, but I'm not going to say nothing about that because I know. It was not a low price, but I think you'll get the value out of it. Elmar, thanks for the recommendation. Le Fondouk in Marrakesh. Check it out. All right, y'all. I think that's it for today. Thank you for hanging out with me. Patty asked if anyone was taking a train to or fro Marrakesh to the coast. I don't know, but that sounds interesting. Post about it in the group. I would like to explore more of Morocco while I'm in Marrakesh. So if people are doing that or they have ideas, post about it in the Facebook group. If you don't have a ticket, so you're not in the ticket holders group, you can still ask the question in the regular Exodus Summit group. I don't know if you have a ticket, Patty. I think you do. I'm trying to remember. Anyway, y'all, this is my first time talking to people since I've been back. I got back on Wednesday and I have not talked to people. I'm back. Fun fact, I'm gonna give y'all a fun fact real quick and then I'm gonna wrap it up. I have an infection in my knee. And it could just be a mystery, but I think I remember having a cut on my knee, tiny, tiny cut. One of the days when I was at the surf shop. And I don't know if a tiny, tiny cut was before or after surfing. I think it was before. I think I had a tiny cut on my knee before I went surfing. And then I went surfing for an hour, which doesn't sound terrible. But I went surfing for an hour in a wetsuit, which, if you don't really think about it, you might not realize is just a breeding ground for all kind of bacteria. So I had a little cut in my knee, and then I wrapped my knee up and the rest of my body in Bacteria Central. And now, days later, I've had what looked like a pimple on my knee, a little whitehead. It wasn't going away. It was getting bigger and getting bigger. And not like the whitehead, but like it didn't really look like anything. It just felt uncomfortable. It felt uncomfortable for stuff like fabric to touch it. Got back. The day I got back, I hadn't looked at my leg. I've been wearing pants. I hadn't looked at my leg in over 24 hours. Probably closer to 48 because I'd been busy the day before. I got back. I took my pants off and I was like, one knee is larger than the other. That's not a pimple. It's not a whitehead. That is not a pimple on my knee. And my mom was like, well, if you have an infection on your knee, the infection can enter your joint. I mean, you get like your knee, the joint itself will become infected. So she was like, how about you go right now? Right this very minute to urgent care. So my first day back, I went to urgent care and the doctor popped it and nothing really came out. It was big, but like, you guys don't need this info. Sorry, y'all. She took care of some stuff and then she gave me antibiotics. So I've been on antibiotics for a couple of days now, maybe 4, I don't know. So I have not left my apartment since I've gotten back, except to go to urgent care because walking hurts. Wearing anything that covers my knee hurts. Not as much now as it did before. Bending my knee at all hurts. Sleeping hurts. Everything hurts. So let this be advice for you. Wetsuits are breeding grounds for bacteria. They just get wet. They just get wet and stay wet. And they're kind of gross. I was very glad to be in one because some days the water was freezing. Some days it wasn't that bad. But yeah, when I saw it, I realized it was in the exact same place as the cut. I was like, that got infected. How did it get infected? The cut was before surfing, wasn't it? Little cut, and then an hour inside of something that other people have worn and is wet when I put it on. So it's just been wet for I don't know how long. And other people have. So wetsuits. If I didn't have a cut on my leg, I would have had no problem. All my bits were covered. I didn't feel any kind of way about being in the wetsuit. But when I got the infection, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Nubianette, I have no reason to believe it's flesh-eating bacteria. The infection is clearing up really well on the antibiotics. And then I'm going in for a second visit to my doctor. Urgent care, it's like a 10-minute walk from my house. Walked from my house to urgent care because it's faster than taking an Uber. The drive takes longer than the walk does. So even though my knee hurts when I bend, I still walked over. Saw the doctor, went to the Walmart across the street, which has a pharmacy, walked back home in about 70 minutes. The doctor's visit cost $42 for urgent care. Saw a doctor, urgent care. And then the antibiotics aren't as inexpensive here as they are in the US. So the antibiotics and the painkillers cost about $40. The painkillers were super cheap. The antibiotics cost pretty much the whole $40. So $85 for my doctor's visit. $85 and an hour. Less than an hour. And I didn't get to see the doctor right away. And they were apologizing like, she's in with an emergency. I'm sorry, you're going to have to wait or come back. And this is urgent care, which, in the US, I've sat there for hours before I'm being seen. In urgent care here, they were like, I'm so sorry. She has an emergency. You're going to have to wait or make an appointment and come back later. I said, I'll wait. And then within like 15 minutes, they were like, I'm your doctor. Come on back. I was like, it was a 15-minute wait. Like, you apologized. You made it sound like I was going to be here for hours. It was a 15-minute wait. I think a lot of people have no idea how terrible healthcare in the US is. And so they're just like, I went to see one doctor and she was like, you would wait in a waiting room for hours? But that's a public hospital, right? Like, what about a private hospital? I'm like, no, like private, like a doctor in an office. Yes, you might wait for hours to be seen. She's like, with an appointment? And you're paying? I'm like, yeah. She's like, it doesn't make sense. I'm like, yeah, that's American healthcare. Yeah, Abba says Adrian waited 6 hours in Detroit. Yeah, I had a bump on my knee, and I was like, I think it might be infected. And she was like, okay. All right. You're gonna have to. I'm so sorry. You're gonna have to wait or come back. Yeah, it was. All the healthcare experiences I have here have been really good. But other than that, yeah, no, I had been ignoring. I was just been like, it's just a little bump on my knee that hurts. I thought it was like an inflamed pimple on my knee, like right where at the bendy on top of like my knee, the knee bone. What's that called? The knee plate. Whatever that's called. One of y'all will know. The knee fist. I'm drinking water. This is just water. And I was like, no worries. And I saw it and I was like, I'll go to a doctor tomorrow. My mom was like, how about you go today? You should go today. And then she was like, I don't think the antibiotics, pure mom, kneecap, thank you. I don't think the antibiotics are working good enough. You need to go back to find another doctor and make sure they test it. And I was like, how about? I didn't even tell her it was how about. I've made a circle on my knee with a Sharpie of the red inflamed area. And I was like, if it gets bigger, I'll go to another doctor. If it gets smaller, we're just going to write out what we're doing here. It's getting smaller. So the inflamed area is getting smaller. The whole thing was tender to touch. My whole knee was tender to touch before. And it's the obviously infected area. There's like the size of my nail, there's like I'm going to call it a whitehead. But just like a little pus area. And so that's, I don't touch that, of course, because it's a little open. But the rest of my knee, it's the red area around that little large whitehead area is getting smaller. So progress. So yeah, so if you go and get in a wetsuit, don't have any open wounds. It was a cut that I got right, and it was so small. I didn't even think about it. And then when my knee started feeling bad, I was like, how would this have gotten infected? I put that thing on my body that a bunch of other people put on their body, and it stays wet for long periods. That's how it gets infected. And then I thought about what wetsuits really are when they're in use regularly. Yeah. It's kind of gross. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for hanging out with me. You guys are here for a long time. Yeah, dirty open water doesn't help with an open cut either. It was like a paper cut, That's how small it was. It was a tiny thing, barely visible. Didn't hurt. Thanks for hanging out, Tyra, and everybody else. You're still mounding Franco Harris and the Steelers. Football talk. All right. Thanks for Mariton Martin says they need Tylenol for some of these adventures. There have been adventures. There have been many adventures. Thank you guys for hanging out with me, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.